All right. We are due for a market update. It has been a while since we've done one of these live streams, and I plan to keep doing them every single Friday. I've been working hard on my auction house. So if you've been following Mineral Exchange, my auction house, mineralexchange.com, it's been in the description. Shameless plug. That's where a lot of my time has been devoted, been building the company from nothing. And right now, we're doing a gap week. Nothing going on this weekend, but we end every Sunday normally. But next Sunday will be the biggest auction I've ever hosted on mineralexchange.com. Already over 50 items uploaded, including some of the stuff that you'll see over here as well. But I'm here to talk about the market. I want to talk about the precious metals market. Enough with the shameless plug. I own 100% of the company, though. To all of the big retailers in my DMs, I will not be sponsored by any of you. But they always say, we love your content. We love your content, Rob. We would love to work with you. It's like, do you watch my content? Because if you did, you would know that I'm not interested in any of your DMs or any of your emails. Anyway, to the video. Let's talk about some precious metals. Let me get to the charts over here. So there's a few things I want to talk about the precious metals market right now. A lot of people are very scared, and they should be, with what's going on with the Fed. And when I try to take apart what's happening right now, let me get over to the charts over here. And also, please let me know how the live stream's going. Been fine-tuning the setup a little bit. So let me know how the quality is, how the audio quality is in the comments. Would really appreciate that. But I want to get to some of these charts here. So everyone's talking about how the Fed fund rate is going to affect the overall market. Are they going to do it a full basis point, which is 1%? From here to here, like to go from here to there. They're talking about, that's what all the scares about, from there to there. And that's, they might not do 75 basis points. They might do a whole basis point. Or they might do a whole 100 basis points. Wow, a full 1%. It's really going to be turmoil if they do that. Well, if they're really going to get, to raising rates, they need to get it way up there. Just raising it to that's not going to do anything, really, besides get the market scared, which it's doing. And I don't think it's doing it enough. Now, what I'm looking at is there's a couple different things at play right now. What was nice is to see the close today on silver. Pretty good day in silver, actually, to be up 2% today. Recovery to 1956 still blows my mind to see silver under 20. It would blow my mind to see silver under 30. If you brought me back to 2020 and you said silver was going to be under 20 at this time period, I would be going, that's crazy. It's got to be at least past all-time highs by that point, especially with inflation doing what it's doing. But no, here it is providing an opportunity. Now, how do I look at precious metals right now? Because a lot of people are wondering, is there going to be more pain out there? There's a lot of different videos talking about, there's going to be a lot more pain to come. I'm a little bit conflicted on it, because the more I take apart these charts here, the more I kind of make a different, pretty much the same theory, but it's kind of interesting to see it play out. The DXY is still sitting at ridiculously high levels. So whenever the DXY falls, precious metals skyrocket because it takes more dollars to buy precious metals. Right now, we're seeing in my opinion, an artificial jump in the dollar index to be up at 110 like this. It's way too high for the dollar index, in my personal opinion. I mean, we can bring back this chart here. And the dollar hasn't been this high and it's actually starting to getting close to that high of 120 back in 02. But since October of 02, it hasn't been this high. So it's at a high for the last 20 years plus. For the last 20 years, do you think the dollar is stronger now than it was within the last 20 years? It's interesting to me. So with the debt at this high, U.S. debt clock this high, up to 31 trillion on the national debt, you're telling me the dollar is stronger than it's been in the last 20 years? Interesting. Well, what's that basket measured against? Because is it the same type of situation where they're measuring our CPI data with a different basket than they used back in the 70s and the 80s? Because if that's the case, then those numbers are a little bit skewed, wouldn't you say? So that's something I'm interested in looking at, is the DXY being artificially high right now. And when the DXY is artificially high, that means it takes less dollars to buy more metals, because we see an artificial jump in the dollar index. It's really that simple. So when you see this huge jump in the DXY strength, ironically, when they've done more money printing than ever before, trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars printed, and somehow we're seeing a strength in the dollar index. Now, here's an interesting theory I have. An interesting theory that I have is it wouldn't take a superpower to back their currency to gold. It's not just that. It would be multiple superpowers, multiple countries worldwide promoting sound money again. What would happen if multiple countries worldwide started not talking about backing their currency, talking about anything, but started talking about, hey, we just don't believe in all currencies right now in general? What if that narrative changed across the board? That's something that's not taken into account with all of the different charts and all the different things I can show you. The truth is, from a very, macro view, if that sentiment changes on a national level, on a multinational level, saying we don't trust any of the currencies, any of the fiat currencies. We don't care if we back the ruble to gold, if you back the yuan to gold, if you back the dollar to whatever, thin air, maybe, whatever it is back to. We don't care about any of that. We just believe in sound money again. Now, if that starts happening, what was a $20 bill? How did the U.S. become, the worldwide currency, the reserve currency? Well, because our $20 bill used to be roughly an ounce of gold. A little bit under an ounce of gold. And now they're a graded commodity that I auction in my auction company. But this is what our money used to be. This is what a $20 bill used to be. Ironically, now this is worth, it's a collectible worth, 3,000 plus because it's a rare one. But that's what money used to be. So one of the things that's not taken into account across all the different, you could watch all the different news channels around, all the different people on YouTube talking about precious metals, talking about, finance in general, all the charts, everything that we can show you here. But something I want to talk about is from a realistic perspective is a sentiment shift towards what is money and what is stored value. Because clearly the dollar is not stored value. And I think this is artificial, this jump. And if we see the dollar index start plummeting, you'd see precious metals skyrocketing. Now, what would it take for the dollar to plummet? Exactly the scenario I was just talking about. If there was a worldwide shift to sound money, towards people not wanting to hold their money in banks, not wanting to trust the fiat currencies of the world, including the dollar, that would change everything. Changes all these charts, changes everything overnight. So that's why I continue to park my money in precious metals, because I think about it from where is my money parked? Do I have access to my money? Do I have custody of my money? That's a question a lot more people need to ask themselves. Do I have custody? And they might look at their, what? No, I got custody. Let me pull out my iPhone really quick. No, that's not where custody is. These banks don't have your money. They don't. They're moving it around and paying you nothing to move it around. And that's something else I wanted to talk about in this video, in addition to the price of metals. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, so first let's talk about the price of gold. The fact that gold fell under 1,700 is pretty astounding to me. It seems like a pretty big opportunity to be in gold and silver right now. That's what I just think of it myself, not financial advice. I look at it as it's a pretty great opportunity. If you can see past the smoke and mirrors and this is the moment, it's funny because say when silver was down in the low teens, or if say Bitcoin was in the thousands or in the hundreds, and everybody's going, oh, it fell from 10,000 to 5,000, or it fell from 4,000 to 2,000, and now it's at 20,000. And then when it falls, and then everybody's going, oh, I wish I got in when it was 60,000 something. Oh, I missed the train. And then it falls down to 20,000, and those same people are, oh, I'm nervous now. And the same thing with silver. And when silver is over 30, I could tell you as a dealer, when it was going over 30, everyone and their parents wanted to be in precious metals. And then all of a sudden, and they were all talking about, oh, it's I missed the boat. I wish I bought more silver when it was down in the low 20s. I wish I bought more. Well, now's the opportunity. Here it is. It's in your hands. There it is. There's the opportunity. So those same individuals, it all comes down to conviction in your trade. And do you believe in your trade? Do you believe in the future of it? And I think more people need to understand what is custody and how many options do I have on the table. And that brings me into the next point I wanted to bring up in this video. If this resonates with you, I'd appreciate it if you smash the like button to help this video reach more people. It would really mean a lot to me, because I'm sure they don't like me talking about how all the fiat currencies are back to thin air and nobody has custody of anything. I'm sure that's not a message that wants to get brought out there into the algorithms of the world. Whoever has taps on that. But let's get to the next thing I want to talk about is the 30-year mortgage rates. So as the federal funds rate continues to go up, that means mortgage rates are going to go up. So all of the people that have been enjoying a very, profitable real estate market and all the people that have been parking their money in real estate, it's going to get a lot harder to own real estate. It's not the same as it was in 2009, which is ironically when the rates were up here at 6%, which is ironically where it's now skyrocketed. That's what triggered a recession, was all of the bad loans that were given out, all the adjustable rate mortgages that were given out right here. When they raised it up from the bottom of, ironically, it wasn't even that low, so the spring wasn't even that loaded. So it was at 5.21 was the average 30-year fixed rate. In 2003 was the lowest it got. And then to the high points, it got to the upper 6%, just under 7%. And then this is the recession right here, is this gray period. Ironically, because they can change the definition of what a recession is, they don't show the gray period here, but I can assure you it's a recession. If you go by whatever we have followed for the last forever, it's a recession. But they changed the definition of recession, so they're not showing this as a gray sliver yet, but they will eventually when they realize that it truly is a recession and they can't just change the definition of it. But what's interesting is they're raising rates sharply into a recession. We're in a recession right now, and they're raising rates into a recession. They weren't raising rates into a recession. They were dropping it so that people would buy real estate and the market could recover. They've already used that tool in their tool chest at the Fed. Nobody's talking about this for some reason. The tool in the chest for the Fed is to drop rates so that people can get more access to money to help the market. They've already done that for far too long. So if you look at the federal funds rate, it's been under 1%, nearly zero, since literally 2002. And this is ironically what I'm just talking about. Going into the recession, look at what the Fed did. The Fed has you see a police officer and they have their toolkit, right? The Fed, Powell walks up there and they have a certain toolkit. And one of the toolkits is to drop the federal funds rate. So it gives people easy access to money. That's as simple as that's just the easiest way to put it. They've used that. And this is how they use that tool, is to drop the rates. And that's what they did in the when they realized, oh, wait, we're in a real big recession right now. This is a housing market bubble. They dropped the rates from just around 5% down to literally pretty much zero. 0.14 in the middle of the recession, of the last big recession that we had, 2009. So they kept it at that rate for this long. Have you ever seen in the process, this is since the 70s, they haven't kept it that low for long ever. But they kept it since 2009 up until the end of 2015 was pretty much zero. You know what that does? It makes a tight coil that's about to be unloaded. And the longer they keep it down, they kept it down this low, that means the worse the recession is going to be. And not enough people are talking about it. Peter Schiff talks about it, so props to Peter Schiff, but pretty much nobody else talks about it. I wanted to actually show people the charts, though, not just talk about it, but to show you the real data, because once you see it for your own eyes, it changes your view on things. So they were giving away free money for nearly 10 years, 8 years. They were giving away free money. They started raising it a little bit. They started getting it back up to just around 2.4%. And then everything happened with the lockdowns and they dropped it down to help. That's their toolkit. The toolkit is going, okay, well, we need to help the markets now, so we got to drop it down and give free money away. And they gave away a bunch of free money in March of 2020, started giving away free money just like they did in the middle of the last recession. And then now they just decide to start sharply raising it. Now, I don't know about you, what that's going to do to the overall market, but long story short, I don't think it looks too good for real estate. When you're looking at real estate and they're raising mortgage rates this high when the real estate market is already at lofty levels, I mean, if you're in an adjustable rate mortgage right now, pretty foolish. If that property isn't like a cash flow property, or you're not going to do a quick flip or something like that, and you're in an adjustable rate mortgage right now with what they're doing, I mean, I'd be looking to dump. So what's that going to do to the overall real estate market? When everybody who's in an adjustable rate mortgage and gets nervous, decides to drop their house, to sell their house, what's that going to do to the overall real estate market? People tend to forget. If there's one thing that I know from being an auctioneer, is that if the same item goes up week after week after week, it won't get the same price as it got the weeks prior, because now the market gets a little saturated. The real estate market sentiment can shift like that. It really can. If you think about it, if a house down the street from you, if every house on the street sells for $500,000 and one of the houses sells for $400,000 on that street, well, they're not going to get $500,000 for the houses on that street anymore. People in real estate tend to forget how fast that sentiment can shift. And that's something that gets me worried. Is anybody who's in adjustable rate mortgages right now, I wouldn't want to be in an adjustable rate mortgage. I'd be getting rid of that and sitting in cash on the sidelines. But even if you get in a 30-year fix, the time is running out until they start raising it up. I mean, with real estate prices where it is now, and you see the price up to 10% on a mortgage, you know, it's pretty hard to see the American dream in paying that kind of a percentage on a 30-year fixed rate. And just seeing how fast they're spiking it right now, long story short, it just tells me that real estate isn't going to be the place that it was to throw this money at. So that brings me back to my point of, if the stock market continues to sell off, if the Dow Jones continues to sell off, the S&P continues to sell off, where is this money going to go? Where's it going to go? That's what the real question is. Is it going to go into bonds? I highly doubt it. Who wants to put their money in a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year bond? Is it going to go into real estate? It seems pretty rough right now to throw it into real estate. Where's it going to go? That's the biggest question. Where are these trillions of dollars going to go? And I think that it's going to happen to go into precious metals. I think it's going to go into precious metals. I think it's going to go into Bitcoin. I think it's going to go into places where people can take custody of their money, can take custody of their assets. And if it doesn't get the lion's share of it, I believe it's going to get at least a big chunk of that money going out of the stock market. So what I'm looking for right now is there possibly going to be a detachment? This could be the wild card here. So let me go back. In 2009 and 2008, 2009, the last crisis, then precious metals plummeted with the stock market. Basically everything sold off. And one of the big reasons for that, one of my good dealer friends told me, and I tend to agree, is that gold and silver, ironically enough, are the most liquid positions on a fund's balance sheet. So if the stock market was selling off and they're getting margin called left and right on their positions, they're selling off their gold and silver because it's the most liquid market where they can sell that off and cover their margin calls that they're getting. Could that happen again? Possibly. But I think the sentiment might change to the point where we didn't have inflation like we did back in 2009 and 2008. There wasn't inflation like there is now. The inflation rate was under 2% in 2008, 2009. So if you have inflation as high as it is, and then at the same time money's going out of the stock market, where does this money go? Where does the thin air go? If the thin air goes out of the stock market and it goes to the commercial banks, and it's sitting in the commercial bank, but the commercial bank doesn't pay you an interest rate to compensate for the inflation that they created themselves, are you going to keep your money to get burned by them while they get to do stuff with your money? I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. So what is the bank offering you? I mean, if you look at it from a business perspective, it's like the bank's business model is, let us hold your money and we'll let you use our apps and stuff, right? Oh, you can check the screen and you can see how much we have of your money. Well, how much are you going to pay me to hold my money? Oh, not even 1%. Well, how much do you want if I want money from you? Oh, well, do you want a mortgage? Because we'll charge you about 6 to 8% for a mortgage, unless you want an adjustable rate and then we can really get you later on. But wait, but when you hold my money, you give me less than 1%. But when I want money to go buy a house to fuel my American dream, you want how much? Well, 6 to 8%. You're lucky to get that, right? But like, if you really take it apart, you go, you guys are blatant scammers. You're blatant scammers. Because in my business, when you're late on a payment or if you got an open invoice or something, you pay 1% a month and you're lucky to get that. A lot of the dealers I know, they're lucky to get 1% loans. So if you need a quick money for a month or two, you're paying a point a month, and people are happy to do that. So that's 12% annually. So that's what the real percentage interest rates are in the business world, somewhere between 5 to 12% if you're taking money from somebody. But the banks seem to think that if all the money flows out of the stock market, it's just going to sit in their commercial bank, and they can just do whatever they want with it. And that's why custody is so important, because they're not going to let go of your money without kicking and screaming about it. And right now is the opportune moment, in my personal opinion. I mean, go to your bank right now and say you got over 50 grand or something in your bank account. Say you got 100 grand in your bank. Go over there and ask them, hey, can I have all my money in cash? See how they treat you. Oh, sure. Here it is. It's right here. We got custody of it. Here you go. You think that's going to happen? Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. I know from experience. But I could show you 100 grand in precious metals that I can just get access to whenever I want. Why is that? But I want my money from the bank that pays me nothing. They make a fortune off of me. They're making fortunes off of the money I let them hold. They give me nothing for that. They let me use their apps and stuff. That's the trade-off there. While they risk the money and they go and get on margin positions and do all the stuff that they do behind the scenes, because Lord knows what they do behind the scenes, they don't pay us anything for that. So that's why custody is so important. And that's why it's so important to like this video, because it gets it out to more people, and the algorithm clearly wouldn't want this video to get out there to more people, especially with somebody that has an American flag in the background. Pretty sweet American flag I just picked up. I think that fits the climate a little bit better in here. A little bit colorful, but I like that. I like that. It pops out. But that's something that I think more people need to take into consideration is custody, and what is true custody, and what are you getting in return for giving your money to these banks? What is the return scenario here? And do you really think that if the Fed raises the federal funds rate just a little bit more, it's actually going to fight inflation? I just got a news flash. I mean, we have leadership that passed something called the Inflation Reduction Act that put $400+ billion towards climate change. That's the leadership that we have. So in order to fight inflation and high gas prices and all the different high expenses that are going on, 50% higher rent prices, all these different things going on, they're going to make some windmills for billions of dollars of yours. Yeah, sounds like a great plan over there. It works. I think it's flawless execution. This couldn't lead to disaster. Spend another $500 million. Yeah, no, that's Inflation Reduction Act. Perfect title for that. Maybe you'll call it the Affordable Care Act next time. Like that's going to help your freaking health care or something. It's going to do nothing. It's going to do nothing. And it's sad to see what's going on right now. And I just, I'm sickened by it all, because deep down, I know what true money is. I know what true custody is. And I think that what's happening next, they don't understand the hot potato theory just yet. And what is the hot potato theory? The hot potato theory is something I've been talking about on this channel for a very long time. If you've been a subscriber, if you're not subscribed, don't know what you're waiting for, you should click that red button over there while you can. While you can. You should hit the like button while you can. You never know what will happen. Anyway. But I see my buddy Silver Supplement in the house, and he's been telling me about some other places. Anyway, but the long story short is, the more I think about it, the more I realize that these dollars that go out of the stock market, they got to go somewhere. Now, let me go back to the screen really quick. So if we see the DXY sitting at this lofty level here, the reason I put the M2 velocity right above that is this basically shows what's going on with dollars. And people aren't moving them. But ironically, you see a little bit of an uptick recently. Let me go to the year on this. You're seeing you're seeing just a slight uptick. And this means more people are moving their dollars around, probably because they're scared of inflation. So what I think happens to this chart right here, and this is the M2 velocity, just to summarize it really quick for you, is how fast money's moving around. How long are people keeping their money under the mattress? Is the dollars that people hold stagnant in their bank account, or are they moving it around and doing stuff in the economy with it? If you go to the 5-year chart, you see that people just started hoarding their dollars. And that's why you see an artificial jump in the DXY. But recently you start seeing a little uptick. And that tells you that people are getting worried to leave their dollars in the bank account. So as more and more money floods out of the stock market and into the dollar, into the DXY, there's going to be a pressure there building. And that pressure is going to be inflation when people realize the dollars in their bank account are getting burned on both ends. And that hot potatoes theory comes into play, where people go, oh, cash is king, but what do I do with it? Cash is only king until it's burned up into nothing. So how long was cash king in the past? Well, there wasn't a 10% inflation rate back then. There wasn't an inflation rate that was out of control. Now, when I say 10%, I actually really believe it's around 20%. But they're saying it's, wherever they're saying it is. But I think that it's somewhere around 20% right now. If I go by the real numbers, what they used back in the 70s and 80s, the real basket of data, that's just my personal opinion. But that basically tells me is that if inflation is as high as I think it is, and people are losing that kind of money by letting their dollars sit stagnant, it's just a matter of time before this M2 velocity goes from like this chart going down to skyrocketing up, because that means people need to go do something with their dollars. And then that frantic, that kind of panic can set in where people go, what do I do with these dollars? If you ever talk to a person in real estate, so if you know somebody in real estate that does the 1031 exchange, when they sell a real estate position, they'll start getting frantic with, what do I do with this money? So if somebody I watch that Ben Malla, I like him. He talks about, I got 90 million sitting in a 1031 right now. I got to do something with this money before I got to pay taxes on it, right? And I think that kind of sentiment is going to happen to the broad market with people holding dollars. They're going to start panicking on where do they put their dollars before it gets burned by inflation. And if you don't know, if in the States, we don't know as well as other countries, go ask people from Venezuela what it feels like to try to be buying stuff before your money gets worthless. They know very well over there what's happening. I believe that their inflation rate right now is like 100% or something like that. It's even like they've already dealt with this for a very long time, but right now it's just ridiculous over there. So the dollar is the best of the worst. It's the cleanest shirt in the dirty hamper. And so we haven't seen that kind of frantic yet in the States. But I think that could very well happen where people are rushing to go and put their dollars somewhere. And when they're in a panic, there's circuit breakers in that stock market that literally will halt the entire stock market. I believe if it falls over a certain percentage, the entire stock market will literally just be halted. Nobody can buy or sell anymore. Nobody has custody anymore. You can hope and pray, but nope, they're just going to halt the entire market. So if that kind of thing happens, I'm just getting ahead of that storm. I'm getting ahead of it. Even whether people can call us in the precious metals industry, they can call us paranoid, but we're only paranoid until we're right. We can be paranoid for 20 years. But eventually you're right, and then you're not paranoid anymore. You were prepared. And not enough people think about that from that perspective. They think, you're paranoid. You think that you don't have custody. Yeah, I can open my app and just send money wherever. That seems kind of sketchy. Money's back to nothing, and you're hoping that bank has custody of it when they really don't. And they're moving that money around in the background. In that stock market, you got stocks, but is whatever app you're using to sell your stock going to be open? Is that app going to work that day? Is it only going to allow you to sell and not to buy? Is it going to do those kinds of things that Robinhood did? I mean, if the writing isn't on the wall after what Robinhood did when they tried to squeeze the GME and the AMCs and all of that, and they only allowed them to sell and forced a panic sell in the stock, that doesn't tell you what custody really is, then I don't know what will, because they can call the shots. And so when that situation unfolds and people start flooding out of the stock market, if I'm correct and there is a stock market crash, well, then it's just a matter of time where people are going to sit in dollars. The stocks sell off, they go into dollars, they sit in dollars, and they realize, oh, wait, my dollars are burning up at a really high inflation rate that they're not telling me the exact number. And now everything costs more money, and I'm sitting on these dollars in a bank account. What do I do with these dollars before they burn into nothing? Am I going to go and get a mortgage with it when mortgage rates are 10% at that time? What am I going to do with my dollars? Where does it go? And my bet is, why would it not go into a universal asset that is seen as a universal store of value worldwide? Why would the fiat currency not want to go there? That's why I'm in the business that I'm in. That's why I stack so much precious metals, because I think that it's just a matter of time before all of those dollars that go from the stock market into the sidelines has to go get thrown somewhere. And if real estate, the interesting aspect is the more they raise the federal funds rate, the worse real estate looks to go and get into real estate. So to me, it's taking one of so where do you put dollars? Well, traditionally, you'll put it in real estate. You'll put it in precious metals. You'll put it in the stock market. You'll put it into collectibles, things of that nature. There's not too many options on where to put your dollars, where to park the money. But what I see happening is the stock market's overvalued, so you can take that one off. And the real estate market's overvalued, so you can take that one off. And then you're left with precious metals collectibles. And it's like, I wonder what'll happen. Got all these dollars, and then on top of it, the other option is keep your dollars in a bank. Well, how much interest is the bank paying me? Not enough to compensate for the inflation that the dollars are getting burned up at. So I got to throw that, take that off the picture. So you have real estate out of the picture, you got the stock market out of the picture, and you have dollars sitting in a bank account out of the picture because they rip you off at the bank. So what options are left? That's the way I look at it. And so when I see an opportunity in the precious metals market right now, I see it. That's what I see. I mean, back when it was, just recently, this is how fast the sentiment can change. The silver had dropped into the 17s, and then now it's recovering back up to almost 20. And immediately, all of my dealer buddies, I'm lucky enough to own an auction house so I can talk to all the top coin dealers in the country, and they're all talking about, oh, I should have backed up the truck at 17 something. I should have backed up in the 17s. I knew it was the time to buy. I just thought the stock market was going to fall further, and I should have backed up the truck. The sentiment can change like that. It really can just change overnight. And I see it every single day because I get to talk to some big time coin dealers. And that's basically what I get, is that nobody knows. And the sentiment can change overnight, whether you're the biggest bullion dealer in the country or whether you're a small fry, regular collector. The sentiment changes overnight. And I think that it's a matter of, do you want to get ahead of the storm or do you want to, take the chances? I personally wouldn't be wanting to take the chances with real estate myself. I wouldn't be wanting to take the chances of sitting with too much dollars in the bank account. It all depends on, do you have a plan of action with that money? If you don't have a plan of action with that money, then I wouldn't want to sit on cash. Cash might be king if you have a plan of action with it. With me personally, if I have cash in the bank account, I'm building my company. I'm building Mineral Exchange. That's what I'm doing with my cash. Buying, more inventory, working on other things, expanding. If I get real estate, it's going to be for my business so that my business can rent from me. That's the only way I'd be involved in real estate. But when it comes to like owning a regular residential house with these prices here and you want to live there, it's basically an anchor. The American dream, people tend to forget. And I believe with, although he's a little out there, the Grant Cardone guy, but he's right about real estate. He talks about it's not, owning a house is not the American dream. Renting a house is the American dream. To get cash flow out of the house is an American dream. Because when you sit on the property and you're paying, what is a house right now? You remember when Yellen was coming out there and talking about, Yellen came out like within the last year or 2 years or something and said, we're going to start doing unrealized capital gains on stock positions. Like that could happen, but they could, who knows? And everybody had an uproar about it, including myself. Like, how can you declare unrealized? So if you're up huge on your Tesla stock, they would force you to pay a tax on that despite you never selling it. So you never declared any profit, but they would force you to take a profit on it in some way or to pay them in some way, even though you haven't declared it. So they're trying to come after the people that are investing their money. So if you found a way to get a safe haven and find a way to put a safe haven on your dollars, they're still going to come and get it. They're going to still come after you. But the reason I bring that up is because real estate is unrealized capital gains. Every single year, they come after you for property taxes. Property taxes is unrealized capital gains, in my personal opinion. So if you don't have cash flow coming out of that property and the prices are up at absurd levels and you're going to be on the line to pay property taxes, which is unrealized capital gains. Let's just be honest about it. If you have to pay a certain tax on a property every single year, but you never sold that property and you just lived in that property, you didn't even rent it out, they're still going to come after you for unrealized. In my opinion, it's called unrealized capital gains because you never declared a gain on that piece of real estate, right? You didn't get a profit out of it yet, but they're still going to come after you. They're still going to get that. So that's another wild card into the perspective that a lot of people don't tend to talk about, is that unrealized capital gains does already exist. It's just in the form of real estate. So if you're buying real estate as your American dream to own a house, I would consider that. Take that into perspective if you're not getting cash flow off that property. The only way real estate makes sense for me right now is that if you buy the real estate to rent it out to your own business or to rent it and make cash flow higher than the mortgage rate. And if you're in an adjustable mortgage rate, I'd be very scared to do that because the prices could change on you. But if you're in a fixed rate and you have cash flow to compensate for whatever the price per month that you owe for that mortgage, then it does make sense. But that's a rare scenario that you got to be very, smart to pull that off. So that's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it personally. So real estate, in my mind, with what's going on with the federal rates, rate hikes and everything, I don't see it as a place where I want to park my money unless I'm in one of those other two scenarios that I just brought up. That's kind of the way I look at it. When people talk about, Why are you in precious metals? Are precious metals bottoming? Are they going to get higher? Are they going to go lower? I like to break it down to where can I put my money? What are my options on the table? If I have $1 million sitting there in a bank account, what are my options on where to put this money? Like I said, you can have it sitting there in the bank, which pays you nothing for it. You can have it, in real estate, which is getting kind of scary right now. You can have it in the stock market, which looks pretty overvalued and looks kind of iffy to put your money in the stock market while the Fed is raising rates into a situation where we have higher inflation than we've had in the last, it's 40 years, 50 years. And then at the same time, they're raising the federal funds rate while all of this is going on. We have never seen them raise a federal funds rate like this while we're in a recession. That's the wild card here. Last recession, they used the tool in their toolkit, which is to drop the federal funds rate. That's why they want to tell you on the big smoke and mirrors news outlets out there that, it's not a recession. We're going to change the definition of a recession, because they want the ability to raise rates and make it harder to own assets, get harder access to money while there's inflation that's out of control, because their normal way to fight inflation and to stop a recession is to drop the federal funds rate down to zero like they've done in the past, or under 1% like they have in the past, but they can't do it this time. So now we have a wild card where I can show you again. The wild card this time around is when you're looking at the federal funds rate. This is last recession that we were in. They dropped the rate to fight it. So we're going through a recession. Well, now we're going to give people easy access to money. Here's easy money for everybody, and that's why everybody who got into real estate right here made a fortune, because they had easy access to money, and that was what the Fed used in their toolkit. Said, give free money, and that'll stop this recession, and it worked. And that's why they kept it so low for so long, but that was cheating. That was cheating and using a tool in the toolkit. And then now, when they start raising it up finally, then what do they do again? Right when we're going into the 2020 pandemic, they drop it again to give free money to everybody. But the problem is you can't go under that 0%. They might go to negative. You never know. But I have a feeling they're going to continue to sharply raise rates until they realize that the market gets very unstable and the market crashes, and they'll probably reverse course. That's just my perspective on it. I think that they can only raise it so much before they cause a catastrophe, and then Powell has a change of tune. Right now they're acting tough and mighty, and we're not in a real recession. It's only kind of a recession, even though it's a textbook recession. It's not a recession, so let's change the dynamics of it. And really, this should be showing another gray period like it does here. Every gray period is a recession. It should be showing a gray period right here. They're just lying blatantly to the public, and I'm not. So maybe like my video, because I'm not. I'm just telling you the real just telling you the real truth. But that is the truth of it all. Is we're in a recession right now, and we have never seen them raising rates into a recession. It's like it's pouring gasoline on the fire. They didn't. So this is basically like if we were going into the 2009 crisis, what they're doing right now is when the rates were at 5% here. Keep in mind, in 2009, inflation was only like 1 to 2%. I think it might even be less than that in 2008. So it was under 2%. And so if inflation's under 2% in this period, and then they drop the rates to fight it, this would be like them being in a much, much worse inflation back then. Imagine if they had 10% inflation or whatever they're saying it is back in 2008, 2009. Be a different scenario there. And that's the scenario that we're in right now. But like they dropped the rates back then, imagine they skyrocketed the rates. Middle recession, say we're in the middle of 2008, 2009, and they skyrocket the rates up. Imagine they did that. What would happen? That's what they're doing right now. We're in a recession right now, and they're skyrocketing the rates, and they're planning to get it up to around, if they bring it up another full 100 basis points, it's a full 1% higher, they're going to bring it up to about right there, which really isn't enough to combat the kind of inflation that we have right now. They would have to bring it up somewhere around here. But if they do that, who knows what could unfold. And that's why they're doing it so aggressively right now, because they haven't triggered a huge market sell-off yet. People are talking about this little pullback that they've had in the S&P because they're greedy. People in the stock market, in my opinion, have been very greedy because they've enjoyed all of this free money getting printed and put into their ecosystem, getting put into the stock market. But now we're seeing the S&P fall from just under 5,000, and now it's closing the week at 3,873. It has way more to fall. I think the S&P could easily get into the 2000s. Easily. That's just my personal opinion on it. I think it could get well under 3,000. But if it does that, again, where is that money going to go? And if they do cause the S&P to sell off, they do cause a broad market sell-off by raising the federal funds rate, like it's happened every single time that they've done it. I've talked about this in prior videos, but literally every time they've raised the federal funds rate, you just look at the gray periods. They raise the rates under the Paul Volcker era, and then boom, huge recession right afterwards. Raise the rates again right here, boom, huge recession. Raise the rates a little bit right here, huge recession. Raise the rates, recession. Raise the rates, recession. It's a telltale sign. When they raise the rates, it causes a recession. And now they're sharply raising the rates in what is a recession already, if you go by what the actual definition is. So pretty insane to think about. And to think that the stock market is just going to easily hold up, I think that these red candles are going to continue to be long and have more length to them than before. When you see the tiny upticks, I think there's going to be huge red candles going down. That's just my personal take on it. They can't just keep playing with fire and think the market's going to be fine. And at the same time, the dollar is showing all of this strength. I doubt it. There's just too many wild cards at play. And so where I would rather be is where sound money is. I'd rather be in stored assets. That's just my personal take on it. Stored value assets. But that's the things I wanted to talk about really in a live stream. I haven't been in a live stream in a little bit, but it really does seem like I'm looking at the comments right now. People like the flag. I like it. I felt like the flag was a little bit more suiting to the channel and to my perspective, so wanted to put a flag there. Wipes out every single mall. Yeah, the mall is already in sites anyway. I mean, I wouldn't be wanting to be in the malls at all. But what they've already done kind of wiped out the malls. How easy it is, and how, like, one thing let me go back. I actually talked with the delivery drivers recently, and I keep watching like these Amazon delivery cars going by, and I'm going, they're trying to get vertically integrated at Amazon. They're trying to take out USPS, FedEx, UPS. They're actually becoming the delivery service themselves. Their cars are nice with air conditioning, and you can monitor your package in real time. They're doing things that's not offered by the other services, which I wish were offered. I wish you were able to track the actual car that the package is on to see it coming to you, but you can with Amazon, which is interesting. And then their cars are much nicer. I've noticed that over the years, the cars are getting nicer and nicer and nicer. And it just tells me that people are just going to be shopping online. I mean, I don't like to go to a mall personally. I do like to get out and, maybe see a movie or something like that. But at the same time, it's like, to do your shopping, it just doesn't make sense to go, even to go to like a Walmart or something like that. It doesn't make sense to go there anymore because it's cheaper just to get it delivered to your door the next day. And so it's already rough for the malls worldwide because of that. Someone brought up in the comments there that the malls are at risk, but it's just a matter of time. Really, like, just real estate in general, it just seems like it got an artificial jump by the money printing happening and by how easy access money changed the market. That's my take on it. And then you look around in states, where property taxes are high, taxes in general, state taxes in general are high, and then the real estate market is high, and then at the same time, they're going to raise the rates of the mortgage from these banks while the banks don't raise their rates themselves. See, what's interesting to me is they can raise the mortgage rates and charge more on a percentage there, but they're not, last time I checked, they're not paying us more money to hold our money, right? So they can raise their prices, and look at what they charge on their credit cards, absurd figures for annual rates on their credit cards. So if you need money from the bank, they're going to charge you an arm and a leg, but if you let them hold your money for free, they give you pretty much nothing. Seems like a rough trade-off to me. And it seems like the people need to take the power back and take custody of their assets. How do you get back at the banks? Well, you take your money out. You go to the bank and you say, hey, you don't pay me. Well, Rob, why do you not want to hold, $100,000 with us anymore? Don't you love us? We're the bank. Why do you want to take your money out, Rob? What's wrong with you? Come on, you just trust us. We got your money over here. Oh, you got my money? Yeah, we got it. Just look at the app on your screen. Oh, really? You got my money? Yeah, just look at the app. You got it. It's right there. Just check your Chase app right there. There it is. It's like, but if you have my money, can I have my money right now? Can you hand it to me over the counter? Because I'd like my money. How much did you want again? Like, that's what they do. That's what. Let me do a write up real quick, and then okay. You can come back in 3 weeks, and we'll have that for you. I don't know why you need to do this. I don't know why you need, but that's how banks treat you. It's really that simple. And if you ask them, hey, can I have my money back? And they go, no, or they tell you, hey, wait 3 weeks or whatever it is it's going, and they go, why do you need this much money in cash? Why are you taking your money out of the bank? What are you doing with this money? I saw you wire transfer a bunch of money into Mineral Exchange. Why'd you do that? Shameless plug. There, you can tell them, well, you don't pay me any interest for my capital, but you ask for a lot yourself. What's a banker going to tell you? Bankers themselves, when I go to the bank and I talk to my bankers, they're embarrassed. They know. They already know. The people working the banks, they know. It's very clear to them, and I've noticed that because I go in there and I don't like to. I'm trying to leverage them, and I'm trying to get on their good side a little bit because I want to take advantage where I can. But I look at the game and I know their chess pieces and I know my chess pieces, and I can tell I'm not getting a fair shake there. I start the chess game without my queen, and they start a chess game with a full board. I don't like it. Where's my pieces on my chessboard? You get these pieces. Why don't I get those pieces? You charge 8% when I need capital. Why don't I get 8% on the money that sits in your accounts? What's the difference? How come you got to charge so much, but I get nothing? At least give me half. If inflation's at 10%, at least give me 5%. At least compensate a little bit for the problems that you all cause at the central and commercial banks. You guys caused the inflation problem. At least let the people have an interest rate to compensate for that inflation that you created. That's what I say, but I look at that and I can tell that this is a bad rig. This is a rigged system here. If they cared about the individual people, they would give you a higher interest rate on the capital that they hold of yours, but they don't. So I'm trying to awaken up at least as many people that follow me on social media and follow me here that this is what it's like. It's not a fair shake. So most people, they've been kind of indoctrinated where they don't understand what money really is. And they look at their screen on the Chase Bank app or on the Bank of America app or whatever app it is, and they go, oh, I have that much money in there. No, you don't. They have that much money in there. Point blank. You look at your bank account and it says 10 grand. You don't have 10 grand. They have 10 grand of yours that you're hoping they give to you when you ask for it. That's the situation you're in. And what do you get? If I came to you and said, hey, let me borrow 10 grand, do you think you're going to do it for free? No, you're going to go, I know you make money with Mineral Exchange, Rob. What are you using my money for? Oh, well, there's a good deal that came up. I'll probably make 20% on it. I don't know. It's a pretty good deal. Okay, so you're going to take my 10 grand to make 12 grand out of it. So why don't you cut me in 1,000? Well, that's a full 10% for the capital. Well, you're making 2 grand off my money, Rob. I want to be paid for something. Why am I giving you 10 grand for free? You're making 2 grand off my 10 grand. Why can't I get cut in on the action? That's the sentiment that needs to change with people. Is the same sentiment that it is to give a loan to somebody like me to go and make more money off of your money. You're doing that with the bank right now, and they're giving you nothing for it. Pretty much next to nothing for it, while they give you a bad shake. I can't push that point home enough, and it just makes me sick that not enough people know that. We know that. The people in precious metals know that. The people on our channel here know that, and our community here knows that, but not the masses, unfortunately. The masses look at when they give out a $1,200 disbursement and inject it into the economy and put it into their app. They go, oh, wow, they really care about me. And then 2 years later, there's all this crazy inflation and stuff, and then they keep their money still with them, and they don't know, oh, the $1,200 is gone now, but my rent now is much higher. That $1,200 did pretty much nothing for me, but it seemed so great at the time. That's the problem, is that not the masses don't know what's going on. And if you can see past the smoke and mirrors, all I can do, I don't think I can, I can only do as much as I can by making these videos, but the people watching these videos, maybe share, tell your friends what you know. If you don't want to share my content, just tell them what you know. Say, hey, this is what I know. Look into what happens when they raise the federal funds rate. Look at what happened in the past every time they've raised the federal funds rate. This is what, do you really have access to your money? And they show you the app on their screen. It's like, no, they have your money. Can you give it to me right now? Do you have that money that's on the app? Can you grab it and hand it to me right now? Well, I could go down to the bank and get it. Well, then you don't have custody of it. They have custody of it. Not enough people understand these very simple things. And my goal is to just try to awaken as many people as possible while I can. And so that's my goal. What's up, Zilla in the house? I see some super chats. I never miss my super chats. I really appreciate those. Bite Hunter in the house. I really appreciate you, Bite Hunter. Says, how do you feel about the dollar becoming a cryptocurrency as rumored lately? It wouldn't be considered a cryptocurrency. I think it would be more so of a, I guess technically it would be a cryptocurrency, but it's more, why am I forgetting the correct term? Somebody in the comments will put the correct term out there, but it pretty much already, like, if you think about it from a perspective, like, I like chess. I've talked about how I like chess. So if you take it from like a chess perspective, the pieces and where they lie currently is best case scenario for them. They can print money at will. They can do whatever they want. They have access to pretty much everyone's bank accounts if they want to. They can see all that information, all that data. And so they pretty much, and there's a trail. If you send a wire transfer, it's called a Fed wire transfer. It's a one-node system. It's not a multiple node system. It's a one-node system through the Fed. So when you do a Fed wire transfer, they already have that electronic trail. So it's like when people talk about, a central bank digital currency, thank you, a CBDC. Oh, that when it's something's on the back of your mind, and thank you for saying that, Tim. Oh, what's up, Tim? I was actually just talking with Tim. But it kind of is that already, and they already have it dialed in the way that they like. So if they want to make the system more sticky and get even more data than they already have, that means that the people would have access to that ledger as well. So, and that's something that makes me a little interested, because from like I said, like a chess perspective, I look at my pieces and I look at their pieces and where their pieces are on the chessboard and where my pieces are. If they decide to do a CBDC, I'm moving my pieces in a way where I go, okay, now I can see a little bit more data of yours. How much does each commercial bank have of yours? How much are you lending there and there and there? How much money are you printing? What are you doing over there at the Fed? I want to see all of your numbers in addition to you seeing my numbers. Great. You want to have more access to all of the numbers that are moving around with us, we the people? Well, we want to see the numbers that you're moving around over there as well. So if you want to get rid of all paper currency, which I think they will do, and you want to do all of these things so you have access to knowing everything that's going on with the people, we the people, we want access to what you're doing with the money. Because last time I checked, you're a lot more shady than we are. We want to start at, what are you doing over there at the Fed, Powell? We want to see your numbers a little bit. So that's where I would flip the script on them a little bit and start moving my pieces around the chessboard. I'd want to see their numbers, and I would want to put it on these YouTube videos here and show the charts on it. That's what I would be doing personally myself. So that's one way to look at it. But I do think that the truth is that we already have a CBDC in a sense. I mean, all of the money is pretty much, I think 90-something% of it is already digital. I think it's like, I heard a stat like something like 93% of dollars are digital. If they wanted more people to have dollars outside of the ecosystem, why did they lower the denominations when inflation is this high and the dollar has this less buying power? If the dollar's lost 99% plus of its buying power, why would you remove $10,000 bills? Why would you remove $1,000 bills and only give people $100 bills so we can act rich and hold these big chunks of paper by our head? Why would they do that? Because we used to have higher denominations. We even had a $100,000 gold note. We had all kinds of higher denomination bills. So you can actually Google them, and I've bought and sold those high denomination bills. I'm sure I'll auction a lot of them on my auction site in the future, but that's the truth. It's just that blatantly obvious. And now they even have the audacity to color our money now. Like they make it, like if it wasn't already monopoly money, they actually made it look like monopoly money. They're giving us like these blue and orange and red notes. And it's like, wait a minute, I remember as a kid, the red note was a $5 bill. The blue note was the $10 bill. The green note was the $20 bill. Wow, they're actually emulating monopoly. You're funny. You're funny. All of the coins, this is what a $20 bill is supposed to look like. All the coins are all clad and made out of nothingness. The penny is worth more. The copper in the penny is worth more than 1 cent. They can't even put copper in the pennies. These criminals. I don't think I'm allowed to say that kind of thing. I might have to. I retract that statement. Did I say criminals? I'm sorry. I mean, these great individuals in control of the monetary system. What fantastic individuals. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please put me in the algorithm. I'd really appreciate that. That'd be fantastic. But it just blows my mind. It's astounding, really, what they've gotten away with. And what scares me the most is a lot of people that know my story. Eventually, I'll open up a little bit more on my background and where I started and everything. But I didn't know about precious metals. I didn't know about the gold standard. I don't come from a family of coin dealers or precious metals bullion dealers. I don't come from any of that. I have no family backing, nothing like that. And I didn't know anything about the gold standard when I was a waiter when I was 23, up until I was 23, 24. And so that makes me wonder. It's such critical information that I know now. And I went to traditional public schools, nicer public schools too, growing up. And it just made me realize how indoctrinated they had let me become. The only reason I dropped out of college is because I was making more money as a waiter. And it didn't make sense to me to go to college anymore because I'm already making good money as a waiter. And I don't think a college job can pay me this much. So I'll just keep being a waiter and figure out something. And somehow the matrix, the simulation, whatever we are in, shifted to my way, and I brushed shoulders with the right people and started learning about these things. But I didn't learn about the gold standard. I didn't learn about anything with Austrian economics. I didn't learn about anything that I'm talking about in any of my YouTube videos until I was well over 24 years old. Wasn't in college, wasn't in any school. As a matter of fact, I was at the perfect age to be out of college when I started learning about this information. So it just makes me wonder, how is this stuff left out? How do we not know anything about money? Everyone's giving up all of their time for money, but they don't study the money itself for which they're giving their time up for. And that's a scary reality of what we're dealing with right now. And I hope that the youth starts understanding what's going on because they are being indoctrinated one by one by one. And they are just as foolish as I was when I was 24. I'm 29 now, so it took me 5 years to know what I know now about money. And all I can do is try to get on some sort of YouTube channel, do live streams, do whatever I can to try to get this information out to more people because it blows my mind. It blows my mind. The whole situation about it. But you will learn so much more. And this is why I'm so vocal about why I think college is a scam. It gets me into a lot of stuff. I mean, I posted some pretty funny videos and stuff on the Instagram. If you're following me on Instagram, please follow me on Instagram. I give notifications there. If you don't get a notification on YouTube, you get a notification if you follow me on Instagram because I put it in the story. But I've been talking about my views on college, not only on the YouTube channel, but also I've been making like some short reels for Instagram. And I'm noticing, this didn't get that many likes. Must have got not promoted by the algorithm to talk about how college is a scam because it's so blatantly a scam. Whatever they subsidize is usually a scam. And so, pretty much 100 out of 100 times is a scam. So if they subsidize college, they give away free money and then the scam gets unveiled. Like, why is college so expensive? Because it's subsidized. And people don't care about money that they get for free. When you felt the pain of being an entrepreneur, I'll tell you what, why am I in the position that I'm in now? Why do I own Mineral Exchange? Why do I have all the assets that I have? Why have I built all the things that I've built? Because I've lost everything multiple times. I know what it's like to make $100,000 and lose every single penny of it down to zero, down to negative. I have literally done in my life, I've made $100,000 and lost it to the point where I'm on credit cards and negative money. That has happened in my life multiple times. And the pain of that, it doesn't go away. And I learned my lesson because I failed forward. But a lot of these kids, they get entrapped because they get this free money given to them. And then they get put in a situation where they're having to pay interest on this free money that they were given. And they were taught pretty much nothing. It doesn't take 4 years to learn this information they teach children. It doesn't take 4 years to learn this information. You could figure it out in a month. You don't need to memorize all this junk for 4 years. No, that's a great amount of time to rack up debt and to put indoctrinated kids into cubicles to pay off said debt. Like, what a blatant scam. It takes 4 years. Oh, some of it takes 8 years. Some of it even more than that if you want to go back for your master's or your PhD or whatever they want to call it. But I'll tell you what, I just recently hired a couple people to work at Mineral Exchange to help me grow things. And so that's been a big relief. And that's why I'm up to doing much more auctions on the website now, because I have some help around here. But I'll tell you what, all of them are not college educated. I interviewed some college educated individuals, and I'll tell you what, they're entitled. They think the moon of themselves. They want so much money because they have their fancy golden ticket. They want to get paid $100 grand, $200 grand. And meanwhile, I'll get some kid that's a hustler and, knows way more about social media, way more passionate, will do 10 times the work, and will say, oh, I want to work for free. I just want to work with you. I want to learn, I want to work. And it's like, those are the people we want. Entrepreneurs want those people. Maybe you want to go and work for Facebook or something like that and get put in a cubicle. And if you're a college kid, you want that kind of job. But if you want to work for a real, cutthroat entrepreneur, you want to work in that world, they don't want college kids. I don't want a college kid. They're entitled and they want the moon. I don't want them. I want hustlers. So if you're watching this and you're on the edge of dropping out of college, I say drop out. I say it's a blatant scam. You're living with a supercomputer in your pocket. Study things on your supercomputer in your pocket for free. Anyway, I'll ramble too much on that. I'm too passionate about why I think the college system is a scam. Let me get back to the comments here. I don't like missing any of these super chats. Byte Hunter, I appreciate that. I'm still on Byte Hunter's cryptocurrency comment with $1, and that's a great question, and I hope I answered that. But sorry for the rant there. Jerry loves freedom and decentralized assets. If you're not subscribed to him, I highly recommend subscribing to him. Also recommend subscribing to my buddy Silver Supplement. If you're watching out there, Silver Supplement made a really cool video. He consigned about $40-something thousand worth of vintage silver bars to us at Mineral Exchange, and he made a review of the process that he went through with us, and it was like so cool to see someone make a genuine review of my website. So Silver Supplement, shout out. But Jerry loves freedom and decentralized assets. I really appreciate him as well. Really cool guy. I'm subscribed to Jerry. So if I'm subscribed, you should be subscribed. I really appreciate you, Jerry. Jerry said, I swear this man is my doppelganger. Great job on your auction house. As always, great video, Rob. Rob Soltan for president 2032. You got my vote. I appreciate you, Jerry. Thank you, man. And really, we both do really think alike. Me and Jerry really do think alike. I really like him, and I like all of his videos that he does. Really cool person. Highly recommend subscribing to his channel. Cool guy. Zilla in the house as well. What's up, Zilla? Salvador in the house. JW says, great content, but very U.S. centric. Perspectives are very different outside of the U.S. Fair point. But the comments are wide open. So put the comments. I don't regulate the comments. So if you disagree with something I'm saying, or if it's too U.S. centric, put your perspective, because I want to see myself what it's like in other places. So wherever it is, if you're in Australia, if you're in Europe, wherever you're at, I would like to know your perspective as well. And that's why the comment section is open, because you might change my mind on some things. But college, in my opinion, in the U.S. is a blatant scam. That's my opinion. If they subsidize it so much. But I know in other places, I think college, they give it away for free. But even then, here's the thing. I need to learn on my own time. Like, I think that I learned how to build an auction house way faster than any college could have taught me. I built it from nothing. No one taught me how to do photography. I taught myself. No one taught me how to make a YouTube set. I did it myself. I don't have family in it. I don't have any help. I don't have any financial help, any educational help. I learned all myself. And I guess it's kind of arrogant to say that, but it's true. Every single thing I've ever done, everything I've ever built, all the social media knowledge that I know, and keep in mind, huge multi-billion-dollar companies have been reaching out to try to advertise with me. And I'm going, you couldn't figure this out? You couldn't figure out how to make a YouTube channel? You couldn't figure out this stuff? You got to get me to pitch your product? Huh. You know what I do? I just ignore them. It cracks me up, because most of them are employees. Most of these big billion-dollar bullion companies and all these different companies, they're all college employees. They're not entrepreneurs. They don't think different. College doesn't teach you imagination. College doesn't teach you creativity. College doesn't teach you any of these types of things. What does teach you that is failing a lot and being in your own space. Being alone for a while. That'll teach you that. That'll teach you imagination. Is if people say, like, you are who you surround yourself with, or you are the 5 people you surround yourself with. But what if you're alone? Then you just got to be you, right? Got to figure out what your imagination really is. And I've done a lot of time like that. I've spent a lot of time alone. And that's where my knowledge comes from. It doesn't come from it comes from being alone in four walls, not sharing my four walls with other people. It comes from being alone. And I really value my alone time. I really value my time where sometimes I have to throw all of my phones, any distraction in another room and not even look at it for a few hours just to hyper focus on something, because that's just who I am. And that's how I have access to my imagination. So a college would never teach me any of these things because I'd be so bored. I'd be just bored out of my mind to sit there and be told, this is how you start a YouTube channel. This is how you sell things online. I wouldn't be able to learn that way. That's just not the way that I learn. But anyway, I digress. I rant too much about that. But I hope, like, every time some old guy says you can get free MIT courses and materials online at YouTube. Bingo. I learned how to, I took an entrepreneur class from Richard Branson for like $180. Like a negotiation course from that Chris Voss guy from Black Swan. I took a negotiation class for that same $180. It was like multiple classes within that $180. Learn how to cook from Gordon Ramsay. I've talked about this a lot. It's like when the free market is allowed to compete, you get a higher value product from a better teacher at a lower price because there's competition. When there isn't competition, you have some person that doesn't really like their job that's getting paid to go in front of 900 people that overpaid for a situation. That's what happens, you know? And so I believe in not subsidizing. I believe the government should have nothing to do with the education system. The government they shouldn't even be subsidizing these mortgages. The Fed shouldn't be able to mess up the mortgages. They should just let the mortgage go to what a mortgage should be in a free market. They should let the free market economy act. They shouldn't be playing and tinkering with things. That's what causes all of these problems, is the subsidization of these different things. Why is healthcare so out of control? Why is it so expensive to have healthcare? Because they're involved in it. They did their Affordable Care Act. Why is inflation out of control? Because they did their Inflation Reduction Act, where they spend hundreds of billions of dollars adding to inflation. That's what they do. So it's like I said, if they do a CBDC, I want to see what they're doing with the money. You can look at my accounts. I make 10%. My auction house works on a 10% margin. That's how much I make. You want to look at my numbers? Here's my numbers. Look at it. There you go. But I want to see your numbers, Jerome. I want to see your numbers, Jerome Powell. I want to look at that. Show me. Open up your books. So if they do that digitization thing, I think the people need to start holding them more accountable. And that's something that they're not. That's like the Uno reverse card of that situation, I think. Because I think that's coming and it already is here. But that's the reverse to it, in my opinion, is saying, I want to see your numbers too. No, it's not Nassim Taleb. The funny thing is, I think Nassim Taleb wrote that book Anti-Fragile, but that's a fragile dude. He's a very fragile dude with a lot of emotion. I'll tell you, you shouldn't have titled your book Anti-Fragile, Nassim. I watched Nassim Taleb go on like a whole rant. I'm like, man, you're pretty soft, bro. You know, he wrote the book Anti-Fragile, but Chris Voss is behind Black Swan. I actually like Chris Voss quite a bit. He says the same. He repeats the same thing, kind of like I do a lot, but he has a really good message on negotiation courses and things like that. I think it was worthwhile. We'll go through a few more comments here. When I do these live streams, I usually go through the live stream just kind of ranting a little bit, and then towards the end I go through the comments. I don't like missing any of those super chats. I'm pretty sure I got all of them. Really appreciate you, Jerry, and Bite Hunter, always showing a lot of love, and I really appreciate you. Community college is worth it for me, in my opinion. I did learn a lot from only $1,800 a semester. Well, that's a little different. I think that people need to go to trade school a little bit more often. If I could go back in time, I'd just tell myself to go after the money. I just go after the money. I think that it's really that simple in today's world, because once you have access to money, you have the tools that you need to do whatever you want. If you want to start a YouTube channel, build like this set, I would imagine that my computer system, The camera, the set, the things that I put into this, probably somewhere around like $5,000 or something, $5,000 or less. You could probably do it for a lot less than that. But my goal would be, how do I get that money together right now? Because that's my goal. I want to be on YouTube. Okay, well, save up some money. Go work a trade job. Go work as a waiter. Do whatever it is. But don't put yourself in debt with hopes that you can do that. Go get the money. Get the money and then get the tools and then do the thing. It cracks me up how many people will be like, I want to be a YouTuber, so I'm going into film school for $50,000 a semester. It's like, just go $50,000 a semester. You know how much equipment you can get for 50 G's? You could get this like state of the art equipment for 50 G's. Like if I build this set, and I got some pretty fancy stuff here for under $5,000, $10,000 or whatever. It's like people are spending so much money to go to film school. It's like, just go buy a camera and start filming stuff. Well, I want to be a music producer. Go buy music equipment and do stuff with it. Like it cracks me up. It blows my mind how many people will do that. I want to be an entrepreneur. Go fail and go use that money and failing at building something. Make a t-shirt company and fail a little bit. Make another company and fail a little bit. Learn how to build a website. Do some social media marketing for free. Like, it just cracks me up. I try to give real information. I don't want to give out, these, I don't have any classes. Maybe I could come out with my entrepreneurship Patreon class or something and teach people entrepreneurship, but I'm still on the journey right now. Some people will ask me like, oh, well, can you give me some advice? It's like, I'm on the journey right now. I'm making mistakes right now. I'm still moving forward, right? I haven't succeeded, like I've seen maybe a little bit. I've gotten a little bit ahead, but I'm still working really hard. But I learned by failure. JW says, Rob, curious where your stand on Schiff versus Brent Johnson debate on whether the USD will crash before other fiats. You got to give credit to Brett Johnson because his dollar milkshakes theory is playing out. So you have to give credit to him. Credit to both individuals. I think they're both really smart. It's to be fair, we have to go by what's on the books right now, and their debate was a while back, I believe. So, but let me go back. To the charts. If we study, Brett Johnson was talking about his dollar milkshake theory years ago. So clearly the dollar milkshake theory is playing out, right? Brett Johnson is the dollar milkshake theory guy, right? It's very similar to the dollar hot potato theory. They're pretty much the same. I've been talking about a similar theory for that same 2-year period. I think that he's been talking about that milkshake theory for a lot longer than anybody else, really. So he's been on the money. So you got to give him credit for being on the money. I think that right now the dollar is the cleanest shirt in the dirty hamper. But the thing is, the entire chessboard, everybody's operating on this chessboard. But the thing that I think about the most is at any given moment, that chessboard can be flipped over and nobody likes fiat currency anymore. That's what I think about myself. I know it sounds crazy. I know I'm outlandish to say that. But I think about it from that perspective. I go, okay, great. The dollar is the cleanest shirt in the dirty hamper. All of these fiat currencies are playing on this chessboard right now. What happens if that entire chessboard gets flipped over and everybody starts kind of going towards sound money again? What if Bitcoin gets adopted, and then what if gold gets adopted, being like trading in gold and things like that between countries? That's the situation that that I think, and neither of them are bringing that to the surface. I think Schiff is a little bit, but it's the problem with Schiff. I'm a big fan of Peter Schiff. I listen to pretty much every single one of his podcasts. So I have to put that out there. Like, big fan. I really like him. Whenever he's on a news outlet and he's just giving the raw, real information, love the guy. Love him. But the only thing that I don't like is that he preaches like having gold miners and things like that. I preach to have the custody of the real asset. I preach to have the real gold coin in your hand, where nobody else can take it from you, where I'm not holding your gold coin for you. It's not in the ground in some gold stock. It's not in or some gold miner stock and with a hope and a dream. No, you got the gold and it's in your hand. Like, that's what I preach. Real custody, true custody. And I haven't seen Peter Schiff preaching that. I've seen him preaching gold miner stocks. I've seen him preaching his Euro whatever fund. I've seen him doing that kind of thing. And I don't believe in that. I believe in having access to the money. So I got these 400 ounces of silver right here are in front of me. This Credit Suisse kilo is in front of me. This gold bar is in front of me. Like, this is real custody. This is what real money looks like. It's not in some digital nothingness. And that's something I would love to see Peter Schiff kind of deviate from. Because, like, You can bring up the problem as much as you want, but the hard part is the solution. Peter Schiff is great at exposing the problem, not so great at creating the solution to the problem. That's what I would love to talk about with Peter Schiff one day. So everybody who subscribes to my channel, everybody who gets my channel out there to more people, eventually I would love to talk to Peter Schiff. I'd love to bring these points up with him and say, what's your solution? I understand the problem. The problem is very apparent, and you're dead on the money with the problem. But what's the solution here? That's what I would want to ask Peter Schiff. And I don't think he has an answer, because it would mess up his business a little bit. My business is an auction house, so I'm actually helping people move physical, their actual real custody. So I take custody for a week, then I give it custody to somebody else. Then they have custody of it, and so there's an exchange. That's why my company's Mineral Exchange. So I believe in the actual tangibles, and that's why I run the company I run. But what I see with Peter is it's more easy to run digital assets. It's easier to take money into a digital, fund and then put it into mining stocks and all these different things. But that's not custody. That's not a solution. That's actually adding to the problem, if we're being honest. You're trusting your capital within, their system. And I don't like their system. I want their system to change. So that's just me being blatant about it. But he does. I know somebody said Peter Schiff does promote, physical gold and silver, but that's like a side project for him. The real thing that he preaches is, and he only says to have like 5% of your money there. He says like how a 5% position in gold or whatever he says. So I believe in having a much larger position than that myself and having full custody of my assets. I believe in more than 50%. In precious metals and intangibles. That's where I'm at, more than 50%. He believes in 5%. So not really, 5% in gold doesn't really solve the problem. And it also doesn't solve the peer-to-peer problem. At least with my exchange, I solve somewhat of a peer-to-peer problem as I continue to grow. But anyway, that's kind of my perspective on it. Love Peter Schiff. Think he's a great guy. And I also like the dollar milkshake theory, Brett Johnson. I think he's a smart guy as well. I definitely think he's highly intelligent, both of them highly intelligent, but both of them don't really bring up solutions to the problem. They only expose the problem. And so as of right now, the reason I brought up this chart is because Brett Johnson is correct. He's been correct with the dollar milkshake theory. This is correct so far. I do think that there is wild cards out there that could not instantaneously, but very fast change the dynamic to dropping the DXY. And here's a point I've brought up in prior videos, but if you're new to the channel, this is some good information to know as well. If we pull back the DXY and we go to a longer chart back, we can bring up, and I brought up this chart in prior videos, and this actually helps kind of people understand how much the DXY affects precious metals. Is in 2000, when the 2009 crisis happened, the height in 2008 was just under 90 on the DXY. And then when the dollar index plummeted and fell from 90 down to 72, that was about 20-point drop. The 20-point drop in the DXY during the last recession time period, that same time period is when silver skyrocketed. Because you can look at the same chart from when the dollar index, that last chart when the dollar index plummeted, silver skyrocketed to its all-time high. It's really that simple. When the DXY crumbles, you saw a DXY fall from here to here in the last recession, it skyrocketed the price of gold and silver in that same time period. So the DXY has a lot to do, the dollar index has a lot to do with the price of precious metals. And meanwhile, we're seeing it kind of locked and loaded. It's really artificially high right now. And so that dollar milkshake theory is basically, the reason he calls it a milkshake is that dollar gets up like a milkshake and then eventually fizzles out. And it's been on the money, right on the money. And the wild card that Brett Johnson didn't even bring up is that it now is turning into the hot potato theory, which is something he probably didn't think about when he was bringing up the dollar. I'd have to rewatch the video, but nobody knew inflation was going to get to these levels. Nobody knew that they were going to print this kind of money right now. So they've added inflation into the mix with the dollar milkshake theory. Now that inflation is extremely high, it adds even more to the milkshake fizzling out. and then the dollar gets put into a hot potato position where people need to throw that dollar at something before it burns on them. So it's not just the milkshake fizzling out. It's now turning too hot and burning people and burning on both ends, and you're losing your money while it's sitting in the bank to inflation. So you got to throw it at something. And that M2 velocity index is going to skyrocket up because people are going to get worried and try to do something with their dollars before it turns into thin air on them. That's what I think could easily happen here, but that's kind of how I'm looking. That's what I'm looking at when I kind of take apart the dollar. I'd have to revisit the dollar milkshake theory and revisit Brett Johnson and what he has to say now. But I think that so far he's been more correct than he's been wrong. That's for sure. JW says Schiff does have solutions. He talks a lot about investing in healthier emerging markets that produces more than they consume. He believes those economies will do better versus U.S., which exports paper. I don't think he's wrong about that, but I do think that when you're doing that, you don't have custody. You can only invest in those types of things by actually doing it in a digital way into their markets. But, I mean, there's merit there. I don't think there isn't merit there. I think Schiff's a smart guy. I don't think he's for the most part, I don't think he's wrong. I think he's right about everything. And I think Brett Johnson is a very smart guy, and I think he's been right about a lot of stuff. I think they're both very smart guys. Peter Schiff, sometimes he'll debate people that they're both really smart, you know? So it's like, why are they, you guys should just be kind of, I would love to see them on a council. I would love to see those two running the Fed. You know, like how great would it be to see, like, instead of Jerome Powell walking out there, Peter Schiff going out there and going like, hey, we messed up, everybody. We messed up big time. We're raising rates big time. Prepare for pain. Prepare for pain. We're going to change things real quick. Peter Schiff would go out there and immediately Paul Volcker. Like he would just be like, all right, prepare for pain. Time for pain right now. And just go back to doing things a completely different way. So, I mean, I like both of those guys. I like them both quite a bit, and I'm not really opposed to the things that they say. I just believe in true custody. That's what I believe in personally. I don't like the digital. I just think that keeping things the same doesn't change things. How do you change the dynamic of what money is? Well, you start teaching people what custody is. True money is custody, and that's why. I mean, why is a gold coin? Why was this considered $20 by the founding fathers and stuff? Well, they didn't. This specifically wasn't. This is from 1855. This is actually a rare liberty that will be on the site. But why was this money back then? Because someone had to mine it, somebody had to refine it, somebody had to turn it into this coin, and then now you have it here in a perfect, amount of just under an ounce, and they called this a $20 bill. And the reason for that is because it's not just a IOU note. The money itself is money. When you're transacting with this $20 bill, you're giving somebody stored labor, saying, here's stored labor. It's hard to get this. This is stored labor. That's what it is. And so when you turn money into nothing and you have digital nothingness, that's when you lose what money really is. That's when you lose the value behind things. It's like money should be something that's hard to get. We exchange our time for money. So why should money not take time to make? I'll wait for an answer to that. That's kind of how I look at it. Everyone around the world exchanges their time for money. They don't exchange time to make money. So that's the way I look at it. How about George Gammon? And George Gammon is great. George Gammon is great. I like him a lot, actually. Really cool guy. Really smart guy. I think that, I don't know. I don't like to be, like, my biggest thing is, like, I like to talk about people's strengths. I don't like to really talk about their weaknesses too much. So when I try to, although I am the type of person that if a Ferrari drives by, I'll be like, oh, there's a scratch on it right there. It's just the way my brain works sometimes. But I like all of these individuals. I think they're all very, very smart. George Gammon is certainly one of them. Great guy. What's up, Vacation Time? How are you? Word Up says, enjoy your Friday night streams. I just found you a few weeks ago. Keep it up, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the channel. Really appreciate it. Got Bangerang in the house as well. Haven't seen you in here in a little while. Well, then again, I haven't been here for a little while. I've been building stuff. You know, actually something really cool. So when it comes to fractional, now this is a shameless, you know, plug here, but this is something that is very interesting. If you guys know the story of this guy, so on the auction block this week, I have these, hang on, they're like right here. They're these fractional, I think they're possibly, and I genuinely mean this, I think there isn't a cooler way to own fractional gold. These are from 1980. If you've been on my website recently, mineralexchange.com, but if you go and we're auctioning 100 of these, we're auctioning 20 of these, and we're auctioning 10 of these, and then one like singles of these as well. But this individual, Deke, most people don't know his story, but I highly recommend going to the website and clicking here to go over his story because it's unbelievable, the story of this guy. It's so funny to me that it's not like taught about. Nobody knows who he is. But Deke Pereira and Nick Deke, he basically created the world's largest foreign exchange firm back in the day. And then he was very vocal about going off of the gold standard. Made these fractional denominated coins to try to remake a gold standard. So he had these are all 1/20th of an ounce. So 20 of these make a troy ounce of gold. So it's a perfect fraction of, in 1/20th of an ounce of gold. And they created these fractional pieces, and it says internationalization of sound money. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. If nation states and big nations worldwide, superpowers go, we believe in sound money again, it wouldn't be that their money is back to sound money. It just believes that they believe in sound money again. And if that happened, the whole idea of fiat currencies, whether it's a dollar, whether it's a yuan, whether it's a ruble, everything can change because of this kind of a dynamic. And this is somebody who had a vision of this, of what we're talking about here, since 1980. So they dropped these coins in 1980 to be fractional pieces, and look what they wrote on them: internationalization of sound money. And then on the back side of them, you saw the 5-cent piece. So they denominated it by 1/4 of an ounce. And a full G, which I've sold on the website as well, is just a full G right there, which basically means a full 1 troy ounce. So this means 1/20th of a troy ounce. And so I just love, and look at the saying on them: for integrity, there is no substitute. So this guy tries to recreate the gold standard, comes out with perfect denominated coins, 1/20th of an ounce. 5 years later, gets assassinated in his New York offices. True story. It's insane. Like some crazy lady goes in and assassinates Nick Deke in his headquarters 5 years after issuing this coin. The information's there. If you go to the website and you click right there, it'll have the whole background on it. But it's unreal. The craziest, I think that's possibly the craziest story in all of bullion, because they were actually trying to recreate a gold standard worldwide, and they put it on the coins. It's very clear what they were trying to do. For integrity, there is no substitute. And on the front, internationalization of sound money. And then having perfect fractional denominations. Like, what better? These are like perfect $100 bills in your pocket. Like, what is there a cooler way to have fractional gold? I will wait. It's his coins. You know, it's like, how many of these are minted? How many of these are out there? Probably less than a couple thousand, you know, but these are in the original factory wrapping that they came from. Like, I love my job because I have the coolest stuff. Like, it doesn't get cooler than that. Is there a cooler way to own fractional gold? I don't think so. I don't think so. But this goes to tell you exactly what I'm talking about. This guy was trying to come up with a solution to the problem back in 1980. This is 40 some odd years ago. He was trying to come up with a solution, saying we have a problem on our hands and we got to make a solution as we the people. And this was their solution. Their solution was trying to recreate the gold standard by making fractional gold pieces. And if you go back, there was a 10-cent piece, which is this one right here. This is the single right there. This is their 20. So if you go to this one, you'll see that on the back side of it, they denominated it as 1/4 ounce. They denominated it as 0.25. And then on the same saying, for integrity, there is no substitute. And then on the front of it says choice of currencies. So that's the situation that I'm talking about, is that like they were trying to solve this problem just 9 years off dropping off the gold standard. This is what they were trying to do. And it's crazy to see it like that now. We see them as like collectibles and fractional gold pieces still. But that to me is like a real solution. If you want to talk about a real solution, these guys were trying to do this in 1980. And I think that these are like, I couldn't think of a cooler way to own fractional gold than vintage little fractional gold pieces like that are still in the factory wrapping. And then this one is the 50-cent piece. So this is a 1/2 ounce of gold, and they called that the 50-cent piece. It's pretty brilliant. I gotta give them credit. It's possibly the coolest like concept that I've ever seen in gold. They were actually trying to recreate the gold standard, and their pieces still live on through my website that we're auctioning these off. Current bid is $1, by the way, on that. It still has 8 days on it. We're skipping this week and it'll end next Sunday. But and look at the saying on this: denationalization of money. And this is another Austrian economics guy of the time. So that to me is what the gold standard really, what they were trying to do, is trying to create a solution. So when we talk about solutions, that's a pretty cool solution. In the past, we've sold, if you go to auction history, you can see like we've sold the quarter piece, and we also sold 1 ounce pieces. So these are the 1 ounce. So you see it's just a full G. So for the 1 ounce, this contained 1 ounce of pure gold, and this was just, they just put the 1 G unit. So they were literally trying to create fractional gold pieces, and then suddenly he gets assassinated. Yeah, I mean, that's a mic drop on probably the coolest story in bullion. Hands down the coolest story in bullion. But that's what when I talk about like what's the solution to these problems. Those guys were trying to create a solution in the 80s. That's the solution today. On a small scale, maybe, on a small scale, it's possible for like the individual people to have money to barter with. Those are like little mini $100 bills in your pocket. Those little coins over here, each one of them. I think they're a little bit over 100 each, but it's like they're like little $100 bills in your pocket. How cool is that? Like that to me is a solution on a small level, but I would love to hear everybody's comments on what they think is a solution. But things like that is a true solution. It's a real story. That what I'm talking about, go to my website, mineralexchange.com. If you're not registered on my site, I give away, people pay $20 a month for WorthPoint or all these different apps, and I give away the data for free. People are making money by just studying my auction history on like what's the stuff to buy, because then they can find it and they send it in. They make a bunch of money by me auctioning it. I give away this data for free. So if you're not registered at mineralexchange.com, I don't know what you're waiting for, but coolest story in bullion. I mean, it's not like... sorry to go QVC on you all, but that's about as cool as it gets. And it's a no reserve auction. All the auctions are no reserve, so we'll find out what it's worth. But I'm auctioning 100 of them, 20 of them, 10 of them, and 1 of them. The coolest fractional gold ever. Hands down. Like, doesn't get cooler than that. But that's the kind of thing that gets me intrigued. That it's like he tried to create that, and then suddenly, I'm sorry to laugh. I apologize, but it's like, the story is so insane, you almost think it's not true, and then you do the research and go, wow, that actually happened. And I actually put a link to the story in the description so people can go and view it for themselves, and I'm not affiliated to that link that talks about it. It's so scary. Like, the whole storyline is so shady that, like, I don't even want to talk about it. I just want other people to go and read about it, because it's, like, it's wild. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about in this video. I wanted to talk about basically the options of where to park the money is very limited. And as more and more money will flood out of the stock market and goes into the dollar index, then the M2 velocity has to change, because people are not going to want to sit on dollars with that kind of inflation happening. And I think we're going to see a chart where the M2 goes down. Nobody wants to move their dollars around. And then right about here is when we're starting to see an uptick from the bottoms. And it tells me that people are getting worried about inflation and their dollars getting burned in their bank account. And they're going to have to find something to throw those dollars at. As this M2 velocity index, and this is a good chart to watch, the M2 velocity, as this jumps up, it basically says more and more people are throwing their money out to do something with it. More people are taking their money out of the bank and putting it somewhere and doing something with that capital. And right now, people are sitting on their dollars. And that's just like a ticking time bomb, because it's sitting there and people are getting worried about inflation, and they're going to have to throw it at something. When they do, we'll see that M2 jump up. We'll see the dollar index probably crash, because people are moving out of the dollar into something else. And when they sell their dollars and they move them by the M2 velocity by jumping back up, I would imagine that the dollar, we might be topping out on the dollar milkshake theory. Someone brought up Brett Johnson, who I actually agree with, and he's been correct. And I think we're transitioning from the dollar milkshake to the hot potato theory. That's what I think is happening. I think the dollar milkshake theory is played out, and now it's at the top of the milkshake. When you do a milkshake, it fizzles to the top and then it deflates. I think we're at the top of the milkshake, but this time around, the milkshake is starting to get hot and burn people. And now we're getting to the hot potato theory, where inflation is making it so that your dollars sitting in the bank are going to burn you, and you got to do something with them. And it's almost like they're trying to take real estate out of the picture because it's harder to get real estate now, right? And now they're making it's harder to even qualify. So if you qualify for the loan, it's harder to get the real estate loan in the first place. But then if you do qualify, they're charging you property taxes and they're charging you a higher interest rate. So they're making it so hard for the average middle class to buy real estate, and at the same time raising it. So they're making it harder and harder and harder. While it's like on purpose. It's almost like it's on purpose that the Fed wants the middle class not to be able to get into real estate. It's like they want them to not be able to have any safe havens, probably from the 1031 exchange. The 1031 exchange has been like the saving grace of people trying to accumulate their American dream because they can put their money in their American dream, which is their house or whatever mortgages that they have, commercial properties, whatever. And if they sell that, they can then 1031 that money into a bigger property and not have to pay taxes on it. So that's the 1031, whoever created that was basically trying to keep in place the American dream because you're not letting people get your main asset while you continue to compound it and grow it. But it's like they see that. It's like they almost see it as a move on the chessboard. Like, oh, that's a 1031. I move queen here. Check to the 1031 exchange. I really see that. Like, that's what seems to be happening here. If you continue to raise rates, people are going to get forced out of the stock market and they're going to want to go into mortgages and try to get into real estate. But then you raise the prices a lot on them. You're making more money off of the average American because they're going to, if they do qualify, they're going to pay more interest. And then at the same time, you're eliminating a huge class of people from even getting a mortgage in the first place and climbing that economic ladder. So it's almost like it's made this way by design. And I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but that's the way I see it. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully some people it draws some awareness to what's going on, but that's just the way that I look at it myself. John Bethia says, don't buy unnecessary items and put your cash into hard barter items or sellable items. I tend to agree with that. And shameless plug, I think these are possibly the coolest fractional gold pieces I've ever seen in my whole life. So I'm trying to make solutions around here. I'm trying to do solutions. I was stoked that these came in because I think the storyline behind those is unbelievable. I've always been a fan of that story. I actually collect some of that stuff myself personally, but the idea of having fractional little gold pieces like that, the fact that these Austrian if you look into the individuals that are on the gold standard pieces, they're all Austrian economics, major Austrian economic individuals of our time, of the last time. Most of them have passed away, some not by natural causes. You look into Nick Deek's story, but that was their solution. They were trying to come up with solutions 40 plus years ago, 42 years ago. And now what are we doing right now? I mean, these people that are on these coins, they would be astounded with how far things have gotten. They don't want the average individual to know what real money is. They don't want us to have, barter pieces like that or money outside of their systems. They want to entrap and indoctrinate. That's the objective, in my personal opinion. That's what I think is happening. Could be wrong. Just my personal opinion. But I mean, and I don't know how long I'll be able to keep talking, on based on it's funny because there's stuff they're even coming after like social media. They're trying to like individual states of our country are trying to have an effect on social media. The states themselves, they're supposed to stand up for our individual rights, and the states themselves are trying to show us what they want to show us. And like, it's insane what's going on with the powers that be right now. It just blows my mind. The lack of, it's like, does anybody read the Constitution? I'll leave this live stream on this. I think politicians, they read the Constitution in the same way that I click through the Apple user agreement. That's what I think. Politicians of our country read the Constitution in the same way that I read through Apple user agreements. That's what I think. And it's scary. So thank you everybody so much for watching another live stream for the books. Eventually I'm going to learn how to post these as podcasts. Somebody has been telling me to take the audio and at least put them as a podcast somewhere because a lot of people want to watch or listen in their cars and things like that. You can still do that if you have like YouTube Premium. It'll help you be able to listen long form content. That's what I do personally. So I kind of like with Peter Schiff and with other podcasts that post it to YouTube, I listen to it as a podcast often in my headphones, things like that. But eventually I'll get it out on more platforms. My goal right now is to spread a little bit into other platforms and start putting a podcast out there and things like that. So I've been at least saving all the audios so I can post them later on, but I plan to get on top of that very soon. If you're not subscribed to the channel, would really appreciate if you click the subscribe. If you want to share my content and get it out to more people, would really, really appreciate that. If you want to check out my auction house, if you find rare items in coin shops or wherever it is, I'm kind of like, it makes me excited because I have like a friend group now from YouTube that are now treasure hunting and making money. I had that one individual found those yellow daisy bars that sold on the website for, I believe those sold for just under $4,000. They're rare silver bars. And I give away all the sales data for free. So he saw an old sale and saw, wait a minute, these are worth a lot of money. Went into a pawn shop over, I think in Arizona or something like that, found these 2 silver bars, paid like, I think $500 for them. And they sold for $4,000 on the auction site. By just walking in a pawn shop, he made $3,500 profit. Already has been paid all over, done deal from the auction site. So seeing people make real money off of my site is pretty exciting. Because then they take the profits and sometimes they go and buy more silver. They go and buy more kind of generics, things like that. But I specialize kind of in the rare items. I also put some generics in there from time to time. But it's been really helpful to see like people are starting to do more treasure hunting. And ironically enough, some coin shop owners, I won't name any of them. Some of them are buying stuff off my website to put into their coin shop because so many people are looking for this stuff, which is crazy. But it's fun to see things grow. Launched the auction house about 3 months ago, and we are a little bit over, I think 350 items has been done on the auction site. I think, where are we at? So if you want to see like what stuff is sold for, you can just go to auction history and you can browse. But yeah, 357 items have been auctioned on Mineral Exchange on my auction site. And so when I talk about Mineral Exchange, I own 100% of the company. I don't have any investors, anybody else paying me to talk about Mineral Exchange. It's my company and it's an auction house open to the public. So if you're looking for cool vintage bars, if you're looking to sell cool vintage bars, shoot me an email, shoot me a text. All the information is on there as well under the contact us. But you can have access for free on all the sales data, all of the items that have sold, so you can be on the lookout for what rare bars are and start treasure hunting. And then you have an outlet on where to sell it, and then you can take the profit and put it wherever you like. And so my whole thing is opening up the auction world and opening up my clientele to the public, so that's the public will have a place to buy and sell their precious metals. That's the goal for Mineral Exchange. We're starting small, but we're getting pretty big pretty fast. This week alone, this Sunday coming up, not this one, but the one after, so not this Sunday, but the next, will be the biggest auction I've ever done. There'll be probably around $100,000 of material up next week, and it'll be all crazy stuff. I mean, already posted is about 52 items, all posted already. I mean, we have a Rothschild gold bar. We have a Degussa 1 ounce gold bar. We have 5 ounces worth of these fractional deep gold pieces, which is probably only 1,000 or 2 of them out there. I think they minted less than 10,000 of them through Rogers Mint. I think there's data out there showing that there's like 10,000 or less of those that were actually minted at that time. So who knows how many were melted and are outside their original packaging like that. These are all brand new in the factory packaging from the 1980s. When I say brand new, like brand new as if they just walked out of the factory in 1980. They're made in 1980, but they haven't been touched. They're in the original seals, which is crazy. But we have all of those up as well. We got some Engelhard gold. We got some rare silver as well. Probably the coolest half kilo Engelhard I've ever seen. All kinds of stuff. So these are what's right here. So these kilos right here are actually what you see on the website. These are old school Credit Suisse kilos. Back when the banks knew what real money was. These were actually made in the late 70s. So I think these are super cool, these Credit Suisse kilos. Those are on the block as well this week. All kinds of stuff on the block. And there's going to be probably another 50 items plus added. So and also if you spend more than $1,000, as a lot of people in this live stream know, I personally call you and I can talk to you about pretty much anything. We don't have to talk about metals. We can talk about anything you like, but I usually, if somebody spends more than $1,000 on my auction site, you'll usually get a call from me. Well, actually not usually, all the time. Every single person that spends more than $1,000, I call them personally. So there's that aspect as well. So anybody that supports my auction site, I will personally call you. I really appreciate your support. But Register. It's free to register. It costs $1 to verify your account, and you can bid indefinitely. It's just to prove who you are, and it's open. It'll be the biggest auction I've ever done, ever. Will be not this Sunday, but next Sunday. And we already have 52 items up for next Sunday. So I'm pretty excited about what's going on with Mineral Exchange and the growth that's happening. It's getting pretty crazy. It's kind of crazy seeing these big companies hit me up in my emails recently, where it's like, I'm the small fry. Why are you so interested all of a sudden? But anyway, G-Dub in the house. I really appreciate that. Gave me $20 and says, would you speculate on other than physical precious metals? It's a great question. More Americans need to build stuff. More Americans need to contribute to the American economy. We need to consume less and we need to make more. And so whenever I hear of one of the things that I love to do personally is, I forget where I heard this, but I remember hearing and being like, wow, you're on the money saying that. It's so true. When you have a friend that starts a business, for some reason, the mentality, usually of a college kid, chip on my shoulder, let me throw a little bit more shade at college kids, but they usually will go something like, oh, well, my friend owns that bar. They'll hook me up. When your friend starts a business, go pay them more. If you're my friend, I will pay you more money. I don't want to hook up. When your friend starts a business, go spend money there. No, it was Brad Leah, I think is his name. He brought that up, and I heard that. I'm like, that is on the money. More Americans need to start businesses, and more Americans need to support their friends starting businesses. So money that you might spend on Amazon, you might spend at Walmart, you might spend somewhere. If you have a friend that posts on social media, I'm so proud I opened up a food truck company. I have a food truck and I park it here, and I got a food truck. Come and get food. I'm so excited to start my new business as a food truck. Go down there and spend $100. Go down there and support your friend. Don't ask for free stuff. Most people, Jim, he started a food truck. He's my good friend. He'll hook me up. I'll go down there and I'll get some free, chicken wings or something, whatever they're selling at the food truck, right? No, go down there and buy 5 orders and pay extra. Give them a big tip. That should be what people do more. They should be starting businesses. So what would I speculate on? I would speculate on the youth. I would speculate on everyone trying to build their own businesses. Because how do you combat inflation? Well, you have a cash flow that changes with inflation. Whatever price you're charging, you can and that's another thing a lot of people don't talk about. These incompetent individuals that seem to have that pull the strings. They don't seem to understand that entrepreneurs will change their prices to compete with it, to compensate for inflation. If you can print as much money as you want, if you think that's going to help the general populace, it's not, because the people will change their prices. The dollar store is probably about to be $1.50 store. Probably already is. I think it's already up to $1.20 something or whatever it is. So it's not even the dollar store anymore. They changed their prices. And all entrepreneurs across the board, you can compete with inflation by making your own money printer. Whether you want to start a food truck, whether you want to be in the clothing business, whether you want to buy and sell collectibles. You might want to do the Gary Vee thing and go to garage sales and stuff. I used to do that. That's a great hustle. You might want to be like, who's another guy I follow? Ryan Pineda, or I think that's how you say his name, Ryan somebody. He used to flip couches, buy and sell couches, and made like $8,000 a month doing that. You have all of these potential ways to make money. I'd say, like, if I could go back and talk to myself at like 16 to 18 years old, I'd say go after the money. Go after the money and then buy whatever you want to compensate, to help you learn more. So like my speculation would be on acquiring cheap knowledge, which is paying the $180 or whatever I paid to learn from entrepreneurship from Richard Branson, or negotiation from Chris Voss, or how to cook from Gordon Ramsay. It's like, pay for that kind of stuff and be very frugal with your money and invest in knowledge, but in the right ways. If you do it in the right ways, I would much rather, if I had the choice, put it this way, if I had the choice of a full free ride scholarship through Harvard, or I could get an iPhone. But if I went to Harvard, I wouldn't be allowed to have an iPhone. I would choose the iPhone. The free ride to Harvard would be like $250,000 or $500,000. Who even knows how much that is? There's the pretentious people over there. Whatever the price of that is. If they told me, Rob, you can have a free ride to Harvard if you give us your iPhone, and you don't get to have an iPhone at Harvard. But if you give us your iPhone, you can have a free ride for 4 years at the most prestigious college in the world. I'd say, give me the iPhone. Thank you. I don't like any of you. You all are terrible. Bye. It would take me approximately half a millisecond, not even that, to go, I'll take the iPhone. 100%. And I think if intelligent people out there, I think 99% of them would choose the iPhone as well. So if you know that, and you know you have a supercomputer in your pocket for $1,000 that has access to free marketing like never before, that's the thing you should be investing in. That's the knowledge you should be investing in, is this thing. You know, that's where I would be speculating on is other than just like putting my money in precious metals or putting my money in a collectible or something like that. I would be speculating on building my own business on whatever it might be. Whatever it might be. Here's a cool business. I'm looking on building a cold plunge, right? I already have a sauna. I like the idea of a cold plunge. I want to start studying the Wim Hof method, get a little bit more access to my neurons, because Lord knows I need that because I can't focus. I got way too much on my mind. So I'm thinking, okay, this Wim Hof method might help me get to some sort of chi here. And so I'm looking to make a cold plunge. Here's a business idea. Make homemade cold plunges and sell them for $1,000 more than it costs you. Spend $1,000, if somebody did that, if somebody had a store and said, we've converted these, you can convert these old chest freezers into cold plunges, right? And you did it like in a professional way. If you're like a craftsman and you spent $5,000, made 5 of them and marked them up at 2,000, you'd have one customer. I'd buy one. If somebody did all the work for me and said, I'll pay me $1,000 more because I did all the work. I put the filters in there. I did all that stuff. Here's a cold plunge. I got 5 of them. They're in this storage unit over here. I'd say, okay, $2,000. Here you go. It's brand new. You sealed it off. You did all that stuff. You put the little filter in there. You got to put like an ozone filter. I've been looking into this thing, and like you need a little regulator thing and all that. And there's an idea right there. Flip couches in the same unit. Buy couches, sell couches. Like whatever you can do is I'd be trying to create a business at all costs. So if my bankroll was under 10 grand, I wouldn't even buy precious metals. If my bankroll was under 10 grand, I would be going for cash flow and then buying precious metals with my cash flow. Now, that's something a precious metals dealer or a coin shop owner would never tell you, is if I had a bankroll under 10,000, I would be focused on my business first and getting cash flow first. If I didn't have a job for cash flow, or if I didn't have a business for cash flow, I would be using that 10 grand to create cash flow. And then after I had cash flow, then I would be investing with that cash flow. That's how I look at it. Robert Laird, I have already talked about the title of this video. I ran at the end of these videos. They turn into a rant. I apologize. But yeah, I already talked about it. I'm sure a lot of people don't want me to go back to it. But I'm going to end the live stream probably now. I've been rambling a little bit. Haven't done these in a little while, so I'm a little rusty. So I apologize for the rambling. But there's definitely all of the information is at the beginning of the video. I opened talking about precious metals and everything. But it's nice to talk with everybody again. I haven't been on one of these live streams for a long time, and hopefully there was some valuable knowledge here. I plan to be making a lot more content. I had to streamline things, and I've got a couple extra hands around here now, so things are growing pretty quick with the auction house, and I plan to focus a lot more on the YouTube over these coming weeks and indefinitely, really. So I actually spent a little bit of time improving the set a little bit. I felt like the American flag is just way more. There's actually one that said like there was the one that I really liked, which was like it was a all black one that had 1776 around the side of it. I'm like, I think the algorithm wouldn't like that, so I'm gonna go with traditional. But if I had it my way, I'd put the 1776 one up there. So I might do that later on. Who knows? But I was what I was planning on doing. But it's pretty cool, pretty nice. And it's actually, I don't think you can see it, but it has like more details. It's actually kind of expensive. It goes like, it's deeper. It has like a little, what do they use? A Dremel bit. It has like a Dremel bit for the stars. So it's pretty cool little piece, but changed it up a little bit. Switched out the Monkeys of Parliament, which is still suitable, but I feel like that's a little cooler. You should get a custom made wooden American flag. I mean, that's what it is. It's kind of like that, but maybe a bigger one later on or something. I don't know. But I made a little bit of improvements because I plan to be making a lot more videos. But thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It's somewhere. I believe it's here. Someone told me it's on my watch side. It's right there. So please subscribe to the channel. Please share the message. Hopefully it helps some people. Hopefully it helps wake up some people to what's going on right now. And my main thing is like simplifying it. You know, simplifying it down so the average individual can see what's going on. A lot of people that are, I've seen one of the biggest things for me is when I figured out how to do the screen sharing thing, because the charts really tell it all. You know, it's one thing to hear people talk about the federal funds rate. It's another thing for somebody to literally go and show you and go, look, this is what the federal funds rate looks like. This is how long they had it at zero. They had it at zero that long. They raised it a little bit, caused a recession. This is the coil that has been bound up and created here. And here they are sharply raising it. So when you actually see the real chart, it kind of changes the dynamic and it teaches people a little bit more. So I was really stoked when I figured out how to do this. I felt real. And by the way, no college taught me how to do that, how to put me in the little corner over there on the screen and how to do these live streams and how to show the screens and whatnot. No one taught me how to do that. YouTube did for free. So keep studying YouTube out there. If there's I know I have some younger people in the audience as well, and older people, everybody really. I mean, it's all for free. All the information is out there for free. Bite Hunter, do you think the death of Queen Elizabeth will affect the cost of silver? That's a great question. I think pieces with her on it will probably go up in value. Then again, I mean, I believe in the UK, they actually had a big VAT tax on silver anyway. So I don't ship to the UK for that reason, because it's a ripoff over there. They charge, I believe it's like just a ridiculous VAT tax. And you have to deal with all these different, as a dealer, you have to deal with a bunch of stuff over there. So silver's not really that popular. Gold is more popular in the UK, I believe. So I think it'll affect the price of gold maybe. I don't know. I don't think it'll affect anything really. Personally, I don't think it affects anything. Other than whatever's going on behind the scenes, behind the smoke and mirrors, who knows what's going on there. But I don't think that it would affect the price of precious metals. I don't think that, well, her being in power as long as she was, and didn't really affect anything. So her being gone, you know, I don't think it affects anything really besides the price of things that have her face on it. I know that one of the interesting things I found out is when they change rulers, they have to change the face. They have to like flip the face from one side to the other. So the King Henry or whoever's in charge now, they'll have the face change on their metals. But I mean, it kind of blows my mind that the world is so, all of these people that are in the U.S., you know, kind of the liberal-minded individuals or whatever, you know, I like to just think of what's right and wrong. I'm sick of being labeled a conservative or who's a liberal, who's a conservative, who's this, who's that. I just think I like to look at things about who's right or who's wrong. I think I talked that to one of my friends recently, but it blows my mind that the world is so comfortable with a monarchy, you know? And it's like, yeah, wow, the queen's gone. Now they got a king in there, a king. In modern times, we call somebody the king. Like, that just is like, you and your tiny little, like, you're a king? Like, we still have that? It kind of blows my mind. Yeah, see, I didn't even know his name. That's how little I care. I think it's Charles. Someone said Charles. I think I called him Henry. I don't even know their names. But yeah, I mean, I believe in, I'm an American. I'm an American. I believe in get off my lawn. They used to be on our lawn a little while back. Not anymore. I believe in that flag. So people can do whatever they want over there. But I believe in this flag. And I believe in the founding fathers, what they did for this flag. I believe in what the veterans did for this flag. You know, I don't like their flag all that much. I'm not a fan of theirs. That's how I look at it myself. I believe in freedom. I believe in the republic. I believe in America. So I don't care about their rulers, and I'm not really fond of them, to be honest. But that's just my take on it. They can be an ally. They're allies, you know, but I think that our country it needs so much work right now that we shouldn't be worried about other rulers. We shouldn't be worried about other countries. We should be worried about our country right now. We need to be worried about the U.S., and we need to be worried about more people understanding what it means to be an American. That's what I think of myself. I believe in small government. I believe in power to the people, and a monarchy is the exact opposite of what the founding fathers wanted. George Washington could have been a monarch. Don't get it twisted. George Washington was so loved by the people. He could have walked out there and been a king all day and ruled forever until he died. But he didn't. He chose to say, we have 4 or 8 terms and somebody will take my place. And the public was very bummed out about it when he decided to step down. But guess what? That's the way they framed this country. And I've read the Constitution, and I think more people need to read the Constitution and need to understand what a constitutional republic is and what our founding fathers put into the time and the effort they put into creating our Constitution. And they were all they hated democracy, and they hated the idea of a monarch. They fought a war. They hid in bushes to take them out in a cruel, warlike way at the time. They used to get in lines, and we said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sit up in the bushes. Where are you going to? We going to walk through this field over there? Okay, we'll meet you on the way. That's what Americans did. They were savage rebels that wanted freedom at all costs. That's what America's all about, you know? And it just cracks me up how far we've deviated to even Americans going like, oh no, like the monarch, you know, like it's like, what? It's like, what are you talking about? The monarch. We killed them. Not like in the past, not now. Algorithm talking about the history of the redcoats, U.S. and the redcoats, that thing, you know, our history that they don't teach in schools, that thing. So it like is, I don't understand the whole, like, in America, we should be worried about upholding the constitutional republic that we have. We shouldn't be worried about their country. They can worry about their country. We fought a war to get away from them. Now we're friendly. We didn't used to be friendly. We didn't used to like them all that much, and they didn't used to like us all that much. They said, you want to tax our tea? You want to tax our tea? You really want to do that? You feel like taxing? Okay, yeah, come around, pull up. You know, like people forget. Yeah, pull up with your tea boat. Yeah, go up in the Boston Harbor. Pull up. We'll see you. Come on down with your tea tax. You know, that's what we did to the UK. You know, that's what the British were like to us. You know, so it's like it's funny to me that we've gotten so soft as a country that we don't even remember our history. I'm happy to be friends with them, but I care about my country first. I care about the U.S. first. So a little bit of a rant towards the end of this video. Probably said some stuff that triggered some algorithms or something. Like I was talking about the past algorithm, not right now. I was talking about the past with the redcoats and all of that, you know, like with the stuff with our founding fathers and the nation and everything. But yeah, I'm worried about the U.S. And I'm worried about our leadership. I'm worried about the inflation rate here. I'm worried about losing reserve currency status. I'm worried about the average American not understanding what's going on. I care about other countries. I hope they do well. I wish them well. I don't want anything bad to happen. But at the same time, if I'm going to devote my time and energy to something, it's not going to be about some monarch. It's not going to be, I mean, look at how they stole that huge diamond from India. You know that when the Queen passed, they started asking about that diamond? Like, well, you remember that diamond you stole from us? Can we have that back? That's happening right now with India. You know that? They used to steal all their diamonds and stuff and put it in their gaudy crown. Like, what are we becoming? You know, idolizing this behavior. They're thieves. They're thieves wearing India's huge diamond in her crown. Thieves. I won't pull back, actually. I'll go all in on that. Bunch of crooked thieves that stole other countries' stuff. They did imperialism and took from other countries. How do I know the term imperialism? I don't even know how that stuck in my brain so I do remember these little intricate details of things I've read in the past. But that's what they did. They did imperialism. They used to go into India and they used to steal stuff. I have a old Gersopa bar that when they got shot down by the German U-boat in World War II, the UK boat went down there, and it's actually stamped from Mumbai, which is, it's spelled Bombay, but Mumbai is from India. So they were stealing this silver from India and trade routing it back to the UK from India. They used to do that kind of stuff all the time. And these are individuals that people are like worldwide. Oh, no. Oh, great. God, forever live the king. Like, it's like, oh, my gosh. Jeez, get a grip, humanity. Monarchs. We fought wars against this. But, yeah. Anyway, That's what I feel about that. I won't pull back. Somebody said monarchs are great. No, they're not. No, they're not. A constitutional republic is great. We the people is great. The people having the power with a small, limited government, well-defined, the way that James Madison suggested when he wrote the Constitution, that's great. There's nothing great about a monarchy. Point blank. I won't pull back an inch on that, and I don't apologize for nothing. I'm not a fan of a monarchy. But I will speak that, and I will put that out there, and I don't care. They got me at the end of this video to speak some truth around here, and that's the truth. Blows my mind. Seeing that, I got to scroll up to see if that was actually a real comment. Somebody actually wrote that, I think. If you go up in the comments, somebody's like, oh, a monarch isn't that bad. Monarch's terrible. That is the most anti-American thing I ever heard in my life. Monarch isn't that bad. Yeah, tell that to George Washington. Just because you write it in a comment, don't make it true. Yeah, Peter says, I live in a monarchy. It sucks. Yeah, like think about that. Oh, you want one person to have the power? You want one person to have full power and control over everything. Great idea. While they wear a glorious $100 million crown or whatever that diamond's worth. It's like some crazy diamond they stole from India. And right now, literally in the news, India is asking for this diamond back from King whoever. King, what's his name? Henry, someone said? Yeah, I don't even know his name. That's how little I care. But why don't you get King? Go give them their diamond back. Go give it back to India. India wants their stone back. It's part of their heritage. Go give it back to the Sikhs over there. I believe they call the Sikh. I think it's called the Sikhs. With they have the silver, cool people. Go give them their stuff back. If you're Indians, I go fight for your stuff. I think you should go get it back. Go give it back. I don't like that. They stole that from Indians. I like Indians. They're good people. People from India are good. Yeah, I just don't like. I don't like that. You know, like it's like, oh, they're walking around with this gaudy diamond they stole from a different country, and we're all praising it. It costs $350 million a year. What for the diamond? You mean the diamond itself is worth $350? I mean, I know it's some crazy diamond, like it's like some sort of like diamond, kind of like the Hope diamond or whatever. It's like it's one of these big diamonds they stole from India. But yeah, give them their stuff back, King. It's crazy. Who are they? Like why do humans think that a monarchy is a good thing? It blows my mind. Study history. Never works. And one class of people always, and it's like a bunch of inbred stuff going on, so the genetics isn't even that good. Like they have some rough genetics up there anyway, right? Bunch of inbred. Anyway. Sorry to the powers that are listening to me. I apologize for nothing, actually. I don't care. I don't care anymore. This is why I'm building my own company, because the more I build my company, the less F's I have to give, because then I don't have to follow or abide by any sort of protocol. I plan to be like that in the future. And so if people support me, just know I'm not going to change. I'm just trying to get more. If I get more power, I feel like it'd be a good thing. I feel like I'm going to use it for some good and spread some real knowledge out there. So when I promote my auction house, when I promote the things that I'm building, it's because I'm trying. I'll be blatantly obvious. I'm trying to get more power. I'm uncomfortable with the amount of power I have. I would like more power so I could spread a larger message. The larger I get on platforms, the larger I grow things, the larger my business gets, the more power I have to spread knowledge to people that I think need to have some sort of knowledge. And that's just, if they want to watch me, they do. If they don't, they don't. Change the channel if you don't like me. That's fine. But I'm not a fan of a monarchy. I didn't even know the king's name. You can go back in this video. I literally thought his name was something different. Someone had to correct me in the comments. I didn't even know their name. I guess it was like Prince Charles, or I don't know, Charles, Henry, whatever they are. I don't care. I'm an American, and they can do whatever they want over there, but just don't come over here. Don't try to take our land. Don't try to change our constitution. Don't try to come and do anything over here, because I believe in America. And I believe a lot of veterans watching this believe the same thing. You know? No, I don't like that. I don't like that. Someone's saying like King. No, I just want to be another person out there that's trying to grow in this economy. I'm trying to win in capitalism. That's my goal. I want to be I want to play the game of chess in capitalism right and move the pieces in the right ways. And I hope you do too. I wish you nothing but success. I hope you build a business, and I hope you're profitable. I hope you can grow in capitalism, and I hope that they stop trying to halt your growth and force you into a cubicle and force you to give your time up for money that's back to nothing. If you're giving your time up for money, that money needs to give its time up for you. This money here gave its time up by being mined and refined, and someone had to put in a lot of labor for it. So that when you're trading your time for money, know what you're trading your time for. What is that money that you're trading your time for? And right now, I mean, it is modern, slavery. If you think about it, people are giving up their time for money that is printed out of thin air. That's like me going down and saying, I will hire some employees and pay you with IOU notes on pieces of paper that I wrote, I owe you this. If that's not like indoctrination, getting free labor, I don't know what is. That's literally getting free labor from everyone with money back towards nothing. And meanwhile, people are worried about what's the next monarch. It's like, I've had enough. But yeah. That's the way I feel about it. But I see some USA in here. I see some USA, and I'm happy. And that's why that's a good place to end the live stream, because I just got a new USA flag over here. I would say I'm sponsored by somebody, but I'm not. I paid like $200 for that thing. I paid for it out of my pocket because I do that. Nobody sponsors me for anything. Nobody sponsored me for this microphone. Nobody sponsored me for this thing. Nobody sponsored me for that. Nobody sponsored me to build my company. I own 100% of it because I believe in capitalism. I don't want no free stuff. I want to buy it. I want to buy this microphone. I want to buy this computer here. I want to buy that flag. I want to build this set with my own money because I want to grow in capitalism, and I don't need no free handout from nobody. I don't need no subsidized education. I'll teach myself. Thank you. I'll go to YouTube and I'll teach myself. I'll go online. I'll learn myself for cheap and at my speed too. Sometimes I like to learn stuff at 1 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I don't like to be tested on the stuff that I want to learn. I don't want to care if I memorized exactly how to hang this flag on my wall. Oh, did you use this type of screw? Did you memorize how to do that and take a test on it or to program me to memorize this information? No, I just want to hang it. Give me the screwdriver. I'll hang it, and I'll build this podcast set. Don't teach me how to build a podcast set 101 and charge me $50,000 a year to do it. Just go give it to me the information for free on YouTube from one of my fellow Americans or fellow humans out there in the world to teach this information to me. That's what I believe in. I believe in capitalism. I believe in our U.S. Constitution. I believe in the constitutional republic, and I want to see the republic thrive again. I want to see people in the U.S. thrive. I want to see people embrace capitalism and win in capitalism. I'm sick and tired of people not understanding what's going on. And like every single person, like the idea of bringing up the king and the queen and all of that, it just like, the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, it actually like makes me sick thinking about them. Whether they affect it was Bite Hunter, I appreciate you, and I really am, I appreciate you, Bite Hunter, but you had brought up if it changed the price, if it will change the price of silver, if the monarchy, I don't think it'll affect anything, just to answer that question, but it made me start ranting and realizing like, I'm an American, Americans aren't really fans of the monarch, never really have been. And I think it's like anti-American. I mean, we'll be allies. We can be cool with one another. We can have each other's back a little bit here and there, but you're still a monarch and we still believe in freedom. Hopefully. I do. I know a lot of people listening do, but that's the way I look at it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I know this turned into a little bit more of a rant. I haven't done a live stream in a little while, but hopefully there was some worthwhile information relevant to the title of whether silver and gold is at a bottom or is going to continue to go. I hope I answered that in this video earlier on. Towards the end of my live streams, if you're watching this at a later time, at the first hour or first 30 minutes or so, that's when I give the information, and then at the end of it is when I start going into full ramble mode. So if you want to listen to me ramble, that's when I ramble off. If you don't, once you get the information in the beginning, maybe shut it off, But thank you so much for your support, everybody. Have a great rest of your night. Please hit the like button. If you haven't hit the like button, hit it, or the dislike. If you don't like me, if you're a monarch, if there's king, I still forget. Anyway, if he's maybe he'll hit the dislike button, but you can hit the dislike button too if you don't like me. If you like monarchs, hit the dislike button. But that's the video. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night, and I will see you at the next one. Signing out.